Your officials for tonight's matchup: referee James Campy, umpire Pete Carter, linesman Mark Ayers, line judge John Shamash, deck judge Wesley Floyd, and the timekeeper Floyd Wimberly. The Chargers will be receiving the opening kickoff. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you all please rise, take off your caps, and stand for the playing of the national anthem.
To honor America and perform our national anthem, please welcome Academy Award nominee and six-time Grammy winner, Lady Gaga.
Hello? Hey, what's good, man? Okay, cool.
Here come the Chargers!
All right, cool, no problem. Yep. Brandon's like 5 minutes away. All right. Okay, he just said keep showing the game action, and then when he get here, then we're going to jump on. Gotcha. Okay. Nah, he just said just wait till you get here, so I'll wait till you get here.
The Patriots will be kicking off. Chargers will be receiving. Back deep for the Chargers, number 1, Ty Jones Bell, number 16, Dejuan Johnson. Kicking off for the Patriots is number 16, Josh Alexander. Check that, Jack Thompson. Flag on the play. Penalty against the Patriots. A 15-yard penalty. That would be a 10-yard penalty. And the Chargers will take over first and 10 at their own 45-yard line. Ty Johnson loses about a yard and will bring up 2nd and 11 for the Chargers. The legend with a run in 6 yards, brings the ball to the 50-yard line. They'll be up 3rd and about 5. There's an injury on the field.
Welcome out to Hallandale Beach, Florida.
Fourth down,
Welcome out to Hallandale Beach, Florida. Football hotbed game of the week. It's a wonderful day here for some football. Welcome to South Florida. For all of you tuning in around the country from a football hotbed. Nationally ranked American Heritage Plantation taking on a scrappy Hallandale team. This is a game of significance.
Significant game as far as district play goes. We have American Heritage coming in here. They're undefeated in the district. Hallandale's a one-loss team. This could potentially have some playoff implications. If Hallandale should win, they could force a tiebreaker. But
Playoff implications indeed, but this is a situation, Travis Thomas, where you have a young Hallandale team with an opportunity tonight to take on a nationally rated American Heritage team. They had the first chance, the opportunity on offense, and they were unsuccessful. So now American Heritage takes over as Jason Brown, his passes to the air. It's complete. It's going to be complete for a first down. There's a flag on the play. The pass is complete to Tyson Campbell, the very speedy wide receiver. Actually, he's one of the guys that plays defensive back, or maybe that was to Laurice Nelson. I'm sorry, it's difficult to see the numbers. It's a scenario, Travis Thomas, where they got to take advantage of, trying to get into this game early and not letting this thing get beyond them very early in tonight's contest. Brown is still on the way. Looks like some uncertainty there.
there's a whistle on the play. To the collision, so he left the game. So we're going to be keeping our eyes on that to see if the young Legend Moore is able to return to this game, or how soon before he's back in the game.
Who was involved in the collision?
The quarterback for Hallandale, Legend Moore.
Legend Moore. So when you put this game all together, one of the things that Hallandale was going to be counting on is big nights from their key players. Legend Moore, their quarterback, is definitely one of those guys. It's a situation where you look at this Hallandale team composed predominantly of sophomores, of juniors, Travis Thomas. It's a situation where you say, listen, these guys are going to be good. Today may not be their day. They've had a very successful season, but you definitely knew coming into the day they were going to have big games from guys like Legend Moore in order to have a chance in this contest.
Well, definitely. They have a very young nucleus, and I think their future is very bright, but American Heritage is the present, and right now Hallandale is trying to get over that hump.
Absolutely, they're trying. Absolutely trying. Passes up and complete. Out of bounds, Laurice Nelson.
There's a short game. I'm looking for American Heritage to have a very balanced attack tonight. They have a very good running attack with two quality backs, and they have a deep roster of receivers. And Jason Brown, he's an experienced quarterback. He doesn't put up huge numbers through the air, but he's great. He's equally dangerous with his arm and his legs.
Yeah, Jason Brown, who's committed to play at Harvard University, he's got a second down and short here, second down and kind of medium, I'd say. He looks to flip off. That's to number 2.
Number 24.
Number 24, Miles Jones. Jordan Johnson, rather. Now, Jordan Johnson is a kid that came in from Plantation High School. He gets into this, I would say, crowded backfield at American Heritage, just a scenario where, these guys are, really loaded at that position, but he brings something to the table as we have a long third down here. What do you think we should see here, Travis?
Well, I'm looking for an intermediate pass right now. I see the way the defense is set up.
Brown does go back to pass. He's looking, got lots of time. He finally has to throw the ball away, and credit Hallandale there with a stop, especially on that first offensive series for American Heritage. You got to consider that a win, Travis Thomas.
Yes, well, both teams came out on their first series. They were 3 and out. Both teams came out in their first series. They're both resulting in punts. they felt each other. They're feeling each other out right now. The second series is going to tell a lot about Hallandale. Like I said, their quarterback, he went out. Well, I don't know the significance, if it's an injury or he just got shaken up a little bit. That's going to be interesting to see if he comes in on this series because they're definitely relying on him.
Fourth down punt is up and away. It's fielded there by Hallandale, number 1. Shamar Thornton. So this is a situation where, Travis, Hallandale has to feel pretty good about that first series, getting the chance to get out of.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing about Hallandale. They're a young team, and sometimes with young teams, that works to their advantage because here's the thing. They don't always come in with the butterflies or the nerves. This is a very pivotal district matchup for them. They only have one loss, and a win would propel them into a tiebreaker for a playoffs berth. Last year, American Heritage, they were the district champs, and Hallandale beat them in the second round of the playoffs. So that has to be firmly entrenched in the minds of the American Heritage Patriots. They are definitely focused on this contest tonight. So Hallandale is not going to creep up on them by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to really, really have to play this game because I spoke to some of their coaches in the offseason from American Heritage, and they really had this game circled on their calendar. So I'm fully expecting these guys to come in and bring their A game tonight.
Yeah, they're going to have to bring their A game. It's going to be a scenario where this is what these Hallandale coaches want under Coach Benedict Hippolyte. As you know, he's in from National Power, Booker T. Washington. You know, this is going to be a well-coached team tonight. And although they have a tremendous test in front of them, you're going to see a team that's prepared and ready to play this football game. As you mentioned, Travis Thomas, you have Julian Holmes, the wide receiver, who's in for Legend Moore. We got to try to figure out Legend Moore, the junior quarterback, very talented junior quarterback, went out, as Travis Thomas mentioned, on the first series. And now you have sort of an athlete that's taking the place. But it's varsity football in South Florida, big-time football. Hey, next man up.
Definitely next man up. Well, I believe they're going to lean on the young running back Taiwan Cash, the freshman sensation, so to speak. He's been very strong for them, but that looks like number 22's has got the carry. We're going to see how this is going to play out for Hallandale, how their game plan is going to be altered now that they've had to go to another quarterback. They're setting up for the snap now. They're in a 2-by-2 formation, which is 2 receivers on each side, single back. The quarterback's rolling to the right side. He broke a tackle. He slips another tackle. He got back maybe
got brought down pretty heavily.
We're facing, it looks like a 3rd and 10, maybe.
Well, they kind of got back into the situation there, Travis, with picking up a little medium yardage there, and finally, it's a scenario where you've got to feel good if you're Hallandale. You got a makeable 3rd down here, but talk about the challenges of having your backup quarterback, in a situation like this. Typically, you feel pretty good about, Legend Moore and his legs, his dual threat ability. Now you've got Mr. Julian Holmes, who's typically a wide receiver, and they're trying to make it happen. And he's going to be on the run. He pitches out. That's going to be an incomplete pass, even though it's thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Don't understand that one, Travis Thomas.
The advantage that Hallandale does have, their head coach, he's an offensive coordinator by nature, so that means he's big on preparation. He comes from a nationally ranked program at Booker T. Washington, so over the years he's been in many big games. He's won many big games. He's a state champion in his own right.
Right.
So
several times over.
So he knows how to prepare for games like this. And when you have a roster, you know that you're only one snap away from being a starter as a backup. So I'm pretty sure that the backup has came in. He's ready to do what he has to do.
Well, the punt is off. Pat Surtain Jr. is back to receive, and that's an awesome, awesome punt by number 41 for Hallandale, Derek Tropanis. He's to be given a lot of credit to pin them for the second consecutive time, Travis Thomas, deep in American Heritage territory. And you get into a situation like this where if you play good special teams and defense early, even though you may be trying to figure some things out on offense, especially with a backup quarterback, you're giving yourself a chance.
Well, definitely, that's what it is. That's the key to the game. You know, you're getting ready for postseason play, so you have to fine-tune your defense, special teams play. Those things are really pivotal down the stretch. So now, with this punt, you're going to have American Heritage having to go over 95 yards to score. So I love that when you have a young team, when you give them a chance, you know, give them a fighting chance, because right now you might be willing to pin your ears back and maybe go out to the quarterback and create a little bit of pressure. And this is definitely going to allow your front seven to play a little bit looser now. Your secondary, but if I'm in the back four, I will be looking for them to go up top just to get themselves some breathing space.
Absolutely. Well, let's reset here. Welcome everybody out to Hallandale Beach, Florida, right here on the East Coast, just above Hollywood and also Miami. You are watching nationally rated American Heritage Plantation taking on the Hallandale Chargers. This Hallandale team is a team that was within one game of winning a Florida FHSA 5A state championship last year. They were on the cusp of getting to the state championship. They fell just shy in a game where their quarterback, who's now at Utah, was in a situation where he was trying to play through some injuries, get into a situation, and this is a team that had a lot of transfers and a lot of things going on in the offseason in addition to losing their head coach. But now here they are. They reset. Coach Benedict Hippolyte in from nationally rated Booker T. Washington. He's now the head coach. He accepts that responsibility. He takes the responsibility, Travis Thomas, as we have second down here for Heritage, of shepherding this young, underclassmen-laden roster. And up to this point, 3-1 in the district, this is a game that could potentially put them in a district playoff. This is got to be a situation where you feel like he's done a good job. Here's Jason Brown, on a nice long run. Travis Thomas.
Well, I would definitely say that Coach Hippolyte has done a great job. Here's the thing. I'm not looking at the overall record. It's really the district record that stands out to me. They're 3-1 in the district, and if they can pull off this victory tonight, they will put themselves in playoff contention. On the other hand, we have American Heritage. They came in highly touted entering the season. They had a somewhat of a setback in the preseason kickoff classic that dropped them somewhat in the national rankings, but they've steadily fought their way back, and they're now sitting at number 8 in the national rankings.
Number 8 indeed, and they're undefeated. And what you are looking at right now is Mr. Miles Jones, one of the most electric players that Heritage has.
I believe that's 24 Jordan Johnson on that run.
No, that's 20. See, these guys kind of look the same. 24 Jordan Johnson. He's a guy that, with him, Jordan Johnson is equally as electric. As we mentioned, he came in from Plantation High School. He's a guy that we know really well, participated on some all-star teams that we had a chance to shepherd. Jordan Johnson is a guy that's given them even more in the run game, especially behind this big-time offensive line that they have here at Heritage.
But one of the strengths of Jordan Johnson is he has a wrestling background, so that really gives him some great balance, and he has strength, and breakaway speed is an understatement. Listen, when he gets a step on the defense, I have yet to see him get caught. But like I said, the main thing in a game like this, with playoff implications, is going to be physical, and you can run him up in the trenches. He's not the biggest back, but he definitely, like I said, that balance really helps him a lot, and he's moved the chains, and now they're going to the bigger back. The
bigger back indeed. Alcee Abraham is in the backfield. They'll go with the jet sweep to Laurice Nelson. He'll go around the right-hand side. He's brought down by several Chargers led by number 5, Nicholas Reed, the linebacker. And so now we bring up again another kind of critical third down here. Last time on the first drive, Hallandale was able to come up with something big to get a stop. What do they have to do here, Travis Thomas?
Well, basically it's like you got a great choice, because you can go up top, you can give it to your big back, but Jason Brown, he's a very elusive runner for a quarterback. So Hallandale defense, they really have to play this honestly.
Shotgun formation, Jason Brown goes back. He's looking to pass, but now he's receiving some pressure. He's going to pick this up himself on the ground. And he's a guy, Travis Thomas, that is a dual threat guy. You have to account for him. He's equally as dangerous with his arm and with his feet as we check out this flag.
There's a flag on the play, but regardless of the flag, that was a great run by Jason Brown. He showed why he's one of the top dual threats in South Florida. Tough to tackle. The legal block is going to be bringing it back, though.
It's going to bring it back 10 yards here. And talk about this, it looked when we saw the flag thrown, Jason Brown had already picked up the first down.
Correct. That's just an effort. I believe that's an effort mistake. You know, you're trying to make a play. Something like that. Coaches, it drives coaches up a wall, but it does happen when you got kids downfield trying to make something happen.
It looks like they're going to give him the first down yardage, and they're going to be able to start on a new set of downs here. One thing that's impressive, and you'll see this if you're tuning in from all across the country tonight on Football Hotbed, one thing that is very impressive about this American Heritage team is the depth, particularly at the running back position. They fake the jet sweep now this time, and they go to Abraham up the middle, and he's a bruising back in from Fort Myers. Came over to South Florida, and he's made his presence known early in his career here.
Oh, he's definitely a load. I've heard comparisons to Eddie Lacy. I've heard comparisons to Marshawn Lynch. The times I've watched him play, I have yet to see one man bring him down.
Well, that's what you want out of any back. You always want a guy who is very difficult to bring down, yards after the catch. 0-0 game here at Hallandale, and as you see the PA announcer who is trying to kind of encourage his team, or his fan base rather, to get behind his team, because for all intents and purposes, as we go to first down and Brown goes back to pass, they're still in this game early, and nice pass breakup coming over from the safety position. That was number 16, Dejuan Johnson, and what I noticed, Travis Thomas, is he was covering another young man at the wide receiver position, got off his man, saw the ball, and went over and made a play.
Definitely great awareness from the safety spot. Oh no! Oh, that was a corner who made that play. Okay.
Yeah, the corner, actually the numbers are hard to read. That was Kari Johnson, the senior defensive back, that came over after he was basically covering his man, left coverage, and went over and was able to go ahead and make that pass breakup. That'll bring up second down. Brown is in the shotgun, hands off to Abraham. He goes around the corner here, and he looks like he got some room. Attempts to get in the air, and they said, no, you're not going to jump over us. But there is a flag, Travis Thomas.
Did you notice that flying knee lift at the end of that run by Big Abraham?
I think the coaching staff over there, Coach Pat Surtain Sr., is going to tell him, hey, look, young man, we're paying you to run the football, not to get in the air like a gymnast. That is going to be against American Heritage. That's going to come back. But just assess that, last couple of series of plays for Heritage, it seems like they're kind of getting off schedule here with the penalties and sort of the undisciplined play a little bit.
Well, I'll say this. American Heritage is a nationally ranked team, but this is Hallandale, and they're playing at home. They're playing for pride. They have a lot on the line here. So I expect them to come out and play. It's the first quarter, so, at this time, the adrenaline is flowing. Both teams are going to play hard, so it's kind of tough to pull away from a team right now. Hallandale, they're playing scrappy, they're playing smart, and they're giving themselves a chance right now with their defensive effort.
That'll bring up second and long. The handoff is to Mr. Johnson. He's been the workhorse on the first couple of drives. He gets nothing on this. Of course, that Hallandale defense is stiffening up. That's going to bring up, Travis Thomas, a third and forever here on this second series offensively for American Heritage.
Well, in this play here, here's once again, I expect Heritage to spread it out, and once they spread it out, then look for Jason Brown to make a play with his legs. He's going the shotgun formation, single back. So the DBs are playing off. I see the linebackers have good depth. I really expect him to be able to make something happen with his legs.
He's looking deep now. He's got all day long to throw and pass. They look to be able to give him some of the passes to Dontavius Butler, who incidentally was a Hallandale Charger at one point during his high school career. He's committed to Pittsburgh, but he looks to be a little bit short of the fourth down. Do they go for it here, or do they kick?
No, I definitely believe this is four down territory where they're at right now.
Well, Hallandale will get an early opportunity to get another big stop here on fourth down. I'm going to call it 4th and 5 for this American Heritage Patriot offense. And it's a situation right now where, again, you got to watch out for Jason Brown. This is a dual-threat quarterback, and he's somebody that you definitely want to keep an eye on as he's back in shotgun formation. Johnson sprints out, throws the ball. It's over the head of Larice Nelson, and wow, big stop for Hallandale.
Yeah, that's definitely an impressive stop by Hallandale's defense. Now they're taking over at their 35-yard line, 65 yards to go. There's approximately a little bit less than 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Let's see, are they going to try to punch it in before the end of the quarter? Are they going to go with a slow, deliberate pace? just to give their defense a chance to catch their breath.
Well, if you're just joining us, Travis Thomas, why don't you go ahead and give us the update on Legend Moore, who is the junior quarterback starter for Hallandale?
Well, he was on a scramble at the end early in the first quarter, on their first drive, actually. He got hit on the sideline, and he hasn't returned to the game as of yet. I saw some of the trainers working on him earlier. Right now he's on the bench, so it's unclear of his status for the rest of the game.
Well, we're going to keep an eye on that, but right now the handoff is to the young Taiwan Cash. Hallandale gives up the ball to Taiwan Cash. He's a youth football guy around here in the South Florida area, very well known, just a freshman, came out of the Miami Gardens programs here in South Florida, and he picks up some nice yardage on first down, and that'll bring
Center of gravity does not stop his feet from moving after contact. He has a bright, bright future.
Looks like they're going to give the ball back to Cash, although he finds a lot of American Heritage Plantation, Patriots. And this is a situation where, this is going to be the decision-making factor in this football game, the line play. You talk about guys like Nesta Silvera and those other big-time linemen. Then you got linebackers like Anthony Chatfield, D1 guys all. It's going to be tough for Hallandale all night long to try to contain these guys. What do they have to do, Travis Thomas?
They're going to have to try to keep them off balance. Just, like I said, keep a running attack going, mix it up with the short passes. Basically sort of like a dink and dunk type of game.
Well, you saw the short pass here. That's Ty Jones-Bell with the reception. It's going to bring up a fourth down and short. It looks like Hallandale is challenging the spot, and Coach Hippolyte is out on the field demonstratively asking, what's going on?
4th and 1. I fully expect them to punt. You're in a scoreless game. You're on the wrong side of the 50. And they can try to challenge the spot, but if the spot isn't in their favor, I would definitely punt it out of here.
Well, it looks like they're going to try to figure out what the deal is with the spot here, and nevertheless, Hallandale is going to appear to have to punt this away. But hey, listen, it's one of those situations where you're still, if you're Hallandale, the score is still 0-0. And, you've almost made it through a scoreless quarter, but you've got to continue to cover on defense, and particularly right here, an area where they've excelled so far, which is special teams. Derek Tropanis gets another opportunity to punt here. This might be a nice, tricky little place to do a fake, Travis Thomas.
Not at all. Not on the wrong side of the 50.
Well, he gets the punt off. It's not going to be his best effort of the night, but nevertheless, they're changing over the field possession. Looks like the ball will be down inside the 30-yard line for Hallandale, and that'll give American Heritage Plantation another opportunity to go on offense. What do they have to do? Because they kind of been, a little mix of run and pass, haven't really established an identity early. What do you expect them to be doing as they come out here for this third offensive drive?
I expect a little bit of what I've been seeing. They got some great backs. You have the big back, Abraham. You have the strong, fast back, who's a little bit smaller, in Jordan Johnson. And Jason Brown, he brings a nice element with his feet. So I don't expect them to get greedy or anything. They're in a great position right now. This will be the time to go up top.
Shotgun formation as they've lived in all day long. Looks like the handoff is going to be to Abraham around the corner, and he stopped short. Lead blocker on that was number 67 for Heritage Plantation, Jerome Javnier. Man, these offensive linemen, you talk about Herbert, you talk about, the big man Slayton Jr., who everybody wants his commitment. Herbert's committed to Michigan and Jim Harbaugh right now. Man, wow. What do you do when you're just looking at loads, college-level players who are just coming right at you?
Well, listen, I want to give credit to Hallandale's secondary. Those guys have not been afraid thus far to pull up and sacrifice their body. I saw number 10 just take on what might be the biggest starting back in South Florida right now, Abraham, and he brought him down. So what they have to do, have to continue to play fearless football.
Right.
This moment, they've proven at this point, the moment is not too big for them. These guys, they know they have an opportunity. They can shake up a whole lot of playoff scenarios tonight, and they seem like a team that's focused. They don't seem the least bit nervous, and I fully expect things to happen for them tonight.
Well, one of the things that's going to be interesting is, they got, like I said, they got through the first quarter. They had a clean sheet for Hallandale. That's going to be really, really important. And it's going to be a scenario here where they've got to continue to do all things right. Figure out what they're going to do on offense. Now that they don't have Legend Moore, you're rolling with your backup quarterback and Julian Holmes. Got to get him a package that he can feel comfortable with. Establish the run game, but most importantly, offense. But most importantly, the defense and the special teams for Hallandale are going to be real critical. A wonderful, wonderful evening so far. And it's just, it's been incredible how he's been able to use his feet to get, on the ground and get yardage.
2 words, dual threat. His legs, they make you keenly aware. It's like when you're playing this guy, you just cannot sell out to stop the run or anything, because if you stop his backs, he has his play fakes down and he will get off that edge on you.
First down for Brown. He's back in the shotgun formation. They give the ball back to Jordan Johnson, and those holes are getting bigger and bigger, Travis Thomas, as they run up the middle.
It's almost like when you're going against American Heritage, it's a war of attrition. They're going to wear you out, and they're coming, and they're coming, and they're coming. It's loads of, like you said, college-level beef coming at you. Credit Hallandale thus far, though. They've hung in there, but it seems like they're getting a little bit worn down at this point.
Well, and that's what we expected coming in, and we didn't get a chance to really establish this in the pregame show. But the real story of this game is going to be on the trenches on both sides of the ball. And now you see American Heritage completely selling out to the run as these big, massive offensive linemen are coming in. It looks like a train as they pull on that play, Travis Thomas. Flag down on the play.
What I would probably do as a defensive coordinator right now, I'd check to a 50 front, which is a 5-down lineman, and I really forced Jason Brown to go up top on me.
Legal shift on
the offense that's coming back.
The offense. One of the things that's keeping this game under control, particularly for Hallandale, is the fact that Heritage has been penalized. It's about the 4th penalty that they've had tonight in a scenario where, look, this is a significant game. We talked about this just a little bit, but Heritage does have to win this game to secure their spot in the district playoffs. They would be the district playoff winner, but should they lose this game, it has major implications, because now all of a sudden you enter a 3-way tie and you got to go to a playoff on Monday night where anything could happen. Brown kind of looks like the play was broken up. He's off to the races again, and he's going to get back to the original line of scrimmage, Travis Thomas.
I'll say this. Hallandale, their defense, they have a lot of heart. They're not afraid to tackle. But how long are you willing to tackle those big guys that are coming straight downhill at you? That's going to be the million-dollar question coming down the stretch for the Hallandale Charger defense. If their defense is conditioned enough physically and mentally to continue to pull up on those guys and bring the lumber.
Well, you got to crawl off the field tonight. I mean, it's all on the line. This is the end of the season. The playoffs are at stake. It's winner-go-home time here for both of these teams as Brown goes back into the shotgun. Abraham's behind him. He looks back to pass. It looks like he's going to swing it out to Abraham. Nice hands for the big fella. He's rumbling, tumbling, and he gets down close to a first down yardage.
Hey, their size, they're going to use their superior size. If Hallandale does decide to go check 50, though, I expect them to continue. I expect them to get outside, attempt to get outside, and see if they have lateral speed on that defense. That's what it was right there. A quick rollout pass to the big guy.
The big guy, Alcee Abraham, from Fort Myers, transferred over here to South Florida, getting a chance on the big stage at a nationally rated program to make himself a known commodity here as Jordan Johnson subs in, and they enter into the first down situation. Brown, again with the fake, had success on this play before, guts him right up the middle again, and Travis Thomas, wow, this is just getting a little chippy there, number 5 and number 76, number 5 for Hallandale, Nicholas Reed. And that's, of course, Robert Hankins are having some words. Looks like there's going to be a personal foul called on Hallandale, and that's exactly what you want to avoid.
Definitely. I mean, the defense, they've been bending but not breaking, but you just can't afford penalties like that at a critical point in the game.
Well, up to this point, Hallandale had a pretty clean sheet as far as penalties were concerned. But, I think, when you think about just the size of the individuals that are coming after you play after play, sometimes that can get a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, it does get
And it
frustrating.
looks like on the field, it looks like number 5 might be done for the evening.
Yeah, that was, it was open-handed, but yes, it was. He did strike him.
As he walks off here, if our cameraman Javon Robinson can get a picture of that, it looks like he's going to be heading to the locker rooms early. And Travis, you hate to see that. Nicholas Reed, probably a little just frustration in that kind of a situation right there, possibly because of just the massive size of the offensive lineman he's dealing with on each play.
You have to keep your composure in a situation like that. He really hurt his team right now. In a game like this, you have your entire season is on the line. You cannot have that emotional moment where you just forget where you're at. Now they're inside the red zone, basically in the shadow of the goalpost. And now, up to this point, you've been playing a scoreless game. Your defense is on their heels. You got this massive O-line coming down on you. And that 15-yard penalty really hurt.
Well, let's see. First and goal here for American Heritage. Jason Brown in the shotgun. Jordan Johnson in the pistol behind him. He'll get the handoff around the right-hand side, and it looks like he's going to walk into the end zone. Touchdown for the Patriots. And Travis Thomas, this is exactly what you talked about when you try to get into a scenario where, hey, listen, don't allow penalties and mistakes to make this game tougher than it's already going to be.
Up to this point, the young Hallandale team, they hung tough with Heritage, but that critical mistake, it put them in a very, very bad spot. Now that Heritage went up on them, we're going to see how Hallandale responds when they get the ball.
All of this they have to do without the services of Legend Moore. That's the big story. If you're just joining us, welcome into Football Hotbed. Hallandale Beach, Florida, we join you, Brandon O'Doy and Travis Thomas. Legend Moore, the starting quarterback for Hallandale, one of the dynamic players in South Florida. He is out for this point, and you got a nice situation there for a block kick. And I've been impressed, Travis Thomas, with this special teams play for Hallandale all night long.
Listen, Hallandale, they're very athletic. They're well coached. You can see they've been executing some key points during the game. This the massive girth of the offensive line from American Heritage. It will wear out the best of defenses, but credit Hallandale because a weaker defensive front might have given up more than one score to this point.
I think you absolutely have to credit this Hallandale team, and this is as we said, you bring in Benedict Hippolyte. He's a guy with national championship pedigree, and watch here, you see the kick. It was blocked on the replay, and it just looked like they completely
came right through the middle.
Run that again, John Ross, our director. Wow, just jumped right over her. How athletic can you be? It's just incredible athleticism from this Hallandale team. And, they're still showing some want to here. I mean, you're in the game, 9-11 left, 6 points. How critical could that block be? We never know, but Sertain Senior, head coach of American Heritage, you're not happy with that.
Definitely not, because, every point counts. We're going to see how that plays out later on in the game. Now, Hallandale definitely have to put together a drive now. At the very least, they need to come away with 3 points. They have to answer this.
As they set up for the kick, this is, of course, one of those games where, it's toward the end of the season. Bodies are feeling a little bit worn down. But it's a game where you really show what you have as an athlete. I want to welcome all of the college coaches and assistant coaches that are watching from all over the country. Welcome into Football Hotbed. This is, of course, one of the nation's leading sources for multimedia in the great sport of football as the kick is up and away. And that's the kind of leg that we expect to see from Zach Thompson. He's been a guy that has grown tremendously, especially over the course of the last couple of years. Had some difficult moments last year against the team from Maryland that came down to Matha. Very winnable game. I've seen him mature. We've seen him several times this season. He's gotten better. We don't talk about kickers a lot, but talk about what he's brought to the table. Obviously, that block really wasn't his fault.
No, definitely. That was a very athletic play. They came right through the middle of the line. The center, he had his head down snapping the ball. By the time he looked up, there was basically a guy virtually hurdling him.
So Hallandale gets to start again, they're getting the football for the 4th time here on offense. And again, if you're just joining us, Julian Holmes, the junior wide receiver, is now the backup quarterback because Legend Moore is no longer in the game. And nice athletic play there. If you've got a guy that you're bringing in as a backup, use what he can do to your advantage. And we talked about establishing a package for Mr. Moore to see if Mr. Holmes, rather, to see if he can become effective.
Well, when I look at a receiver going to the quarterback spot, I look at a guy, he knows all the routes, he knows all the breaks, all the cuts. So if his arm is at least serviceable, you don't lose that much from a football IQ perspective. Legend Moore obviously is a better quarterback than him.
And now we see the Wildcat formation with Tywan Cash, the freshman. It was just way too predictable for American Heritage Plantation, and Calvin Hart and many others in for the stop. Go ahead and finish your thought.
When you bring in a receiver for the quarterback spot, I don't see a whole lot of drop-off as far as knowledge of the playbook because he knows all the routes. He should know the plays. He has good legs. Obviously, he's well-conditioned. So this game, losing the quarterback, it's not going to necessarily be the death knell for Hallandale.
But we're going to see Mr. Holmes as he gets put in a situation where he has to take a really bad sack. And it's the sort of situational awareness, Travis Thomas, that you lose when you get an athlete that doesn't typically play quarterback to go to the quarterback position.
Well, the one thing that you do miss out on is that pocket presence. He doesn't necessarily have a natural pocket presence. But a lot of these athletes, they've been playing football forever, and I'm pretty sure that at some point in his football career, he has been at a quarterback position.
Well, I'm sure he has, as well. As if we can take this shot of Legend Moore, the starting quarterback for Hallandale. Before we do that, we'll go to game action. That's a screen pass that's going nowhere when it comes to Hallandale. But look at Mr. Legend Moore there. He's on the sidelines, Travis. It doesn't appear that he's going to be coming back into this game anytime soon. And it looks like his leg is elevated there. And we're going to be with Mr. Holmes, it looks like, for the balance of this football game.
Well, I don't really want to speculate on the nature of the injury because the trainers have walked away from him now. He's just there. But I guess they'll address this at halftime more. They'll see if his mobility, they'll see what he's able to do. But for the rest of the half, yes, I believe we will have Mr. Holmes at the quarterback spot.
Well, Hallandale's back to punt here. They're deep in their own end zone, and this is going to be a critical one. This is, again, one of the more difficult efforts by Derek Tropanis, who's had some really good punts tonight. That was not one of them. Now they're pinning themselves really deep, Hallandale, and just as you're approaching, the latter parts of this second quarter, Travis Thomas, just frame this up for us.
American Heritage right now, I believe they see blood in the water. They're up by 6. They have the ball back inside of their 30. Hallandale might be reeling a bit now from by the tail end of that bad punt, because up to this point, their punter had been really helping their defense out a whole lot. So now I'm starting to see is Hallandale, are they starting to wear down a bit from that massive Heritage front?
So we're going to see here as Jason Brown begins on his own, the Hallandale 25-yard line. He's in the shot, 4 receivers wide. He steps back to pass. The pass is complete, and that's going to be for a touchdown. Lyrese Nelson, it almost was like pitch and catch, Travis Thomas.
Yeah, as I said, when I saw the empty backfield, 5 receivers set down on this, I said, basically here, it's like a catch-22 with Jason Brown. You're going to have to go down and cover his receivers. And if you cover them too well, he's going to take off with his legs. And if you give anybody a little crease, he's going to deliver that pass just like he did. So they were definitely in the proverbial catch-22 right then.
I think the blood in the water metaphor that you use is exactly what it is. When you're facing a team like American Heritage, you can't give them any room because they definitely will take advantage of it, Travis Thomas.
Well, this is a veteran team. They're hungry for play. They're hungry to get back. They feel like last year when Hallandale took them out in the playoffs, that really stymied their national championship expectations because they're a team that like I said, coming into the season, they were highly ranked nationally. So that just shows you that built
Number
off
6
of
in the
last year.
country.
Basically, yes. So they built off their momentum from last season, and they really felt they were primed to win a title. That would have been their third straight state title had they won that last year. So you know the name Hallandale, it really gets their ears to ringing. So their antennas are up. Hallandale must, I repeat, Hallandale absolutely must make something happen on this drive offensively.
Well, you're absolutely right. You have to get to a situation where, check this out. Check out the replay here. And Lyrese Nelson, look, he was completely uncovered as he walks into the end zone.
That 5 receiver said it's tough to cover. I mean, think about it. What team do you know that has 5 DBs that are going to be on point precisely on any particular play? I mean, even the best teams, they're going to have one guy, he might slip out of the break or just a miscommunication or something. That was just kind of confusing. That was kind of confusing for the defense. They're a young team. And at halftime, I'm sure their coach is going to bring him in. They're going to talk to him about some things they saw. They just have to keep Heritage out of the end zone for the rest of this half, and they have to put some points on the board. They definitely cannot afford to go into the half without a score.
Well, you talk about athletes, and, you know, they've got plenty of those, and they're going to need an athletic play here in special teams. That could change the tenor of this football game. 13-0 American Heritage. Football Hotbed National Game of the Week. A wonderful night. There was some threat of rain early. It's turned into a wonderful night of football here on the east coast of South Florida. And we're excited to be here. Brandon O'Doy, Travis Thomas, as the kick is up and away. And as we talked about, American Heritage getting some really good play from Jack Thompson, their kicker, and he's definitely having a great senior season.
Hallandale has the ball with another 80 yards to go. American Heritage defense, they're walking on the field right now. They're walking on the field with a purpose now.
What does Hallandale have to do on this drive to stay in this football game?
They're going to have to complete a few passes to get out of the shadow of their own goalpost. They're going to have to figure out a way to negate that front four of American Heritage, because I know personally one of those players up front, Andrew Chatfield, he's a great pass rusher, and this is his side of the field where he really excels.
Well, you see the jet sweep here. They're going to start getting those athletes involved, spread out those big bodies. The sweep went to number 16, Dejuan Johnson. He's a guy that they've been getting involved a little bit more regularly. But just notice as they walk back to the huddle, the size between the lines there, Travis Thomas.
Yeah, definitely. Hallandale, they have the girth, but it seems like Heritage, they're just taller, and they're just a much bigger team across the board. And they have great closing speed because of Elijah Johnson. He played for me. He's a youth player. He played for me in the past, and he has tremendous speed. And that was a great play the way they closed on that, because if you give him a step, he can go the distance.
Well, Holmes in the backfield again. The give is going to be up the middle to the young freshman, Taiwan Cash, and credit him for making something out of nothing, Travis Thomas. But now you're putting yourself in a position where you're third and long with your backup quarterback who's a wide receiver. Things are kind of difficult right now for Benedict Hippolyte in this Hallandale Charger offense.
Well, the one thing you can't afford to do right now, you cannot afford to throw an interception on this side of the field. So I might go for a safe pass, or out route or something. But it's the secondary of American Heritage is one of the best in the country.
We're going to see. It looks like the pass is going to be deep. It's there, but it is the interception that you said they could not afford. Number 85 on the interception, that's Anthony Schwartz, the track star. And I tell you, if he didn't step out of bounds, he was looking to make something happen in the end zone.
Anthony Schwartz is one of the absolutely fastest young men in the nation. I've seen him go the distance on teams. So, yeah, you're lucky. Yeah, you're right. They're lucky he stepped out of bounds.
Well, Hallandale's got to step up here as they give up the ball for the third consecutive time. A drive will start on the wrong side of the 50 if you're the Hallandale defense. What do they have to do here, Travis Thomas, as halftime is approaching? We're coming up on 5 minutes and 10 seconds left in this second quarter.
I mean, it's easy for me to sit up here in the booth and say what they have to do, but I'm looking at that offensive line, and I'm looking at Abraham in the backfield. Just hold on.
Well, in fairness to Hallandale, they lost probably one of their best defensive players in their linebacker, as it goes right over the middle of the pass, and that's complete to number 16, Josh Alexander. Don't forget, Nicholas Reed, the linebacker, was ejected from this game, and that leadership that he provides from the junior, you're going to miss that here with a young Hallandale team.
Yeah, that really hurts. But it seems like right now, Jason Brown, he's finding holes in the Hallandale defense. And these receivers are hitting them. They seem like they're relatively wide open.
Doesn't look like he's pressured at all up front as he's back in the shotgun. He's going to hand off to Mr. Abraham, who goes up again. Looks like he lost the ball. And Hallandale seemed to pick it up, but the whistle blew.
They're whistling it down.
It's a very interesting call. I want to see if we can pull a replay from that, Travis Thomas, because
second time tonight
it seemed like that whistle was a little bit hasty.
Second time tonight I've seen Mr. Abraham go airborne.
It's going to be interesting, the halftime conversations that head coach Pat Surtain Sr. is going to have with his running back about doing some gymnastics here. Let's look at this replay real quick before we get to action. Can't really see it there as we go back out live. Mr. Abraham goes in for the score, and that's a touchdown. I guess he atones for what potentially could have been a fumble. Let's cue that up, John, and see if we can take a look at that last play. Looks like we're not going to get a chance to see that, but nevertheless, Travis Thomas, I mean, now we're getting into a dangerous point here for the Chargers. They really need a spark on offense, and without their best linebacker, without their quarterback, their starting quarterback, things are getting a little bit tough for this Charger team.
Well, this is a danger. We have a young team. They fought so hard in that first quarter. They really hung on, but you know eventually when you're going against an offensive line the size of American Heritage, you can't get worn down. You just hope for the best. You hope for like a turnover or something just to spark your team.
Kick is up and kick is good. 20-0 here. 20 unanswered points here in the second quarter. Travis Thomas, how did we get to this point?
How did you get to this point? Well, penalties and just a massive offensive line that's just wearing down your defense. Hallandale is a young team, and they're going to have to find a way to adjust. But how much adjustment can
What
you
do they do on offense? I mean, they're about to get the ball back here. You know,
well,
they've got Holmes. You know, he's a backup wide receiver.
Well, the running game has somewhat been stymied by that defensive line. You just got to kind of
Could it be because they know Hallandale almost has no choice but to run?
Well, you just have to find one of your receivers who can just beat his man off the break and just get the ball to him. That's the bottom line. Their secondary, they're so strong, you're going to kind of need a little help with that.
And the ball is out of bounds again. Zach Thompson is not allowing for any returns on this evening. And, again, Hallandale comes out. Legend Moore, the starting quarterback, is still on the bench. I don't think we're going to see him for the remainder of this contest. So we're going to get settled in with Mr. Julian Holmes. And let's talk about it. Let's give him a fair opportunity here. He came into today's game. He probably thought, hey, I'm looking to make plays at receiver. Probably never thought, hey, I got to go in and be the quarterback. He had a very, very nice run-pass option play that went for a first down and big-time yardage. But then on the last possession, he threw a pick, which is something that he cannot afford to do. And it looks like they're going to get back to the run option game. And nice coverage there for American Heritage.
American Heritage, they're fast. They have great closing speed on their defense. So I might actually try a screen.
Willie Hampton there on the tackle. And there's a guy that you don't really hear a lot from Heritage. It looks like they're getting into their bench a little bit as you see some of the rotational players. Schwartz, who has played on offense and defense this year at the safety position, hence his number 85. And you got some guys that you typically don't see.
Well, Heritage was looking, if they were given the opportunity, to probably rest some of their guys coming in, because that's a 5-game gauntlet once you hit the playoffs. So if they could secure this game early enough, they were probably looking to get some guys some rest in this game and bring in some guys off the bench.
Ooh, nice big hit up the middle. That's, again, Taiwan Cash, the freshman, that gets laid out completely.
My man Andrew Chatfield on tackle, another youth great who played for me in my coaching career.
Nesta Silvera was also in on the stop. That's going to bring up another 3rd and long for Hallandale. Things are getting a little dicey, particularly on these 3rd and longs, Travis Thomas. They've got to find out a solution of how to be effective on this particular down, because as you say, the American Heritage defense, particularly defensive line, they smell blood in the water right now.
Run the ball and punt it out safely.
We'll see what they do. Holmes is back. It looks like he's going to pass. He's trying to run. He throws the ball up the middle right to the linebacker. That's number 34, Brandon Mincy,
Rumble,
a name
young
you
man,
know.
rumble.
A name you know very well, and he probably fulfills a dream that he's had all season, gets a pick six. But it was basically gift wrap to him, Travis Thomas.
Out the frying pan into the fire. Out of the frying pan into the fire. That's the one thing. That's why I said run the ball and get out of there safely with a punt.
Well, there's definitely some wisdom in that. And now you have the fourth consecutive score in this second quarter. You talk about a tale of two quarters. The first quarter, Hallandale came out. They were focused. They had very good special team play. Defensively, they were really on point. Now, this second quarter, things have really gotten away. They had a costly penalty in which one of their best offensive players, the defensive players rather, was ejected, and Nicholas Reed. And now they find themselves in a situation where things are very, very, very difficult here. And
They're going for
it looks
two.
like they're going to go for two. American Heritage is going to try to get this up completely to a four-score game, although they're taking a lot of time here on offense, Travis Thomas. Finally gets the ball away. Surprising that was not delay of game, and that extra point try is no good. But, you know, set this up. Tale of two quarters. First quarter, Hallandale comes out completely disciplined. Defense kicking on all cylinders. Couple of 3-and-outs or some and outs.
Yeah.
And then you have a situation where your punting was really good. Now you go to the second quarter, and it's the complete opposite of everything that happened in quarter one.
Here's what happens in football. Once the adrenaline slows down, then those massive size advantages up front, they start to really take a toll on the team. Hallandale, they came out, they played with a lot of spirit. The defensive guys in the secondary, they're definitely not afraid to tackle. They were coming up, making some impressive stops. But it's the repetition of going against these much larger Patriots, play after play after play. It started to wear them down. And Heritage, they called a couple of breaks offensively, and they seized momentum. And momentum is very tough to stop. Now, I'm strictly speaking from a coaching perspective. Hallandale, they won at American Heritage last year, second round of playoffs, and they upset American Heritage, knocked them out of the playoffs. Booming kick. Once again, it sails out of the end zone. But speaking from a coaching perspective and from a player's perspective, now the score is 26-0, second quarter. Is Heritage, are they going to look to send an emphatic message to all their playoff opponents going down the stretch? Or do they take the foot off the gas and let some of the younger players get in and start getting their rest for their starters? That's the million-dollar question.
We can't take it off the gas too much. I mean, yeah, you are up 26-0, but it's only the first half. And this thing, and you've seen this. I don't think this is completely a death sentence for Hallandale, but you've seen this before. Teams take their foot off the gas. They bring everybody out of the game. Then it gets a little bit too uncomfortable. Now all of a sudden you're bringing guys back in. Benedict Hippolyte is a good enough coach to go in at halftime, figure some things out. You start resting too many critical people, this can become a ball game. So what do you do if you're Heritage? You want to balance, getting key guys some rest, but still being really competitive. Not to say that their twos aren't really, really good.
Well, I'm going to have to speak on this. I saw American Heritage earlier this season against Miami Northwestern, and they had a first half where they were absolutely blazing. And in the second half, it seemed like their play kind of leveled off, and Miami Northwestern, they really charged back and made it a very, very close game.
They almost won it.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, Roy Livingston in that game actually he caught the tying conversion pass. He just caught it barely out of bounds. So, I mean, yeah, they came back and almost won that game, Travis.
So having said all that, that has to definitely be playing in the back of American Heritage's mind. This is a young Hallandale team. I'm looking at their sideline right now. They seem to be a bit down, but they're still being coached up. So they haven't completely given up. I can say that to their credit. But it's American Heritage team. They definitely don't want to let their foot off the gas, but it's a slippery slope.
I can assure you that when they go in Hallandale at halftime, they're going to get a speech like they've never heard. As you see a very athletic play to the right-hand side, that's number 1 who's been very active all night, Jones Bell. We got a player down for Heritage.
And that's the very thing that you want to avoid. So that's why I say it's a slippery slope. You want to finish strong, but then you have, like I said, you have that 5-game gauntlet to win the state title. And these people, they're considered to be front runners for the state. So you don't want to have any critical injuries because, as we can see, last season, on Hallandale, their quarterback, Tyler Huntley, he had that injury that he sustained during the playoffs. And by the time they got to Bishop Moore, that really played a part in that outcome.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Bishop Moore is a team. They're, again, in 5A. I talked earlier to South Florida High School Sports, J.T. Wilcox. He says, again, Bishop Moore is right there out of the Orlando area waiting for whoever comes out of 5A. And right now it looks like, this American Heritage team is poised and primed to make that playoff run. But as you say, you got to come out of this game injury-free. That's something they're very concerned about. They talked about resting guys. We'll see to what extent they do that. But you got to feel bad for Hallandale. I mean, you want to come into a fight. You want to be able to bring, your guns. You don't want to bring knives to a gunfight. And tonight they had every intention to bring the guns. It just so happened that with Legend Moore on the first series of the game, he goes out. He's been out ever since. And then they lose probably their best defender in Nicholas Reed, the linebacker number 5, to ejection. And it's tough to play a game when you're a young team with so many key guys that are out for you, Travis.
Well, they're a young team, and I don't know necessarily what the expectations were for them coming into the season.
I think they've exceeded them. They have to have. 3-1 in the district up to this point. 3-2 with a final record in the district. If they are not able to come back in this ball game, they've had to exceed the expectations.
But having said all that, there aren't teams that aren't into moral victories. They came out strapped. They're in there all gold tonight. I know that's their big time uniform. So they came out looking to shake up the world, and they really had expectations or hopes to make this game competitive and give themselves a chance down the stretch.
Looks like they've switched quarterbacks now. Hallandale has gone to number 4, Trayon Lane. He's also a wide receiver, a junior, trying to potentially get something a little bit more going in the passing game. And right now, Travis Thomas, they realize they got another half of football to play. Not sure if I, would have stopped the clock there and give Heritage another opportunity to score here. But they've got another half to play. They've got to figure out some offense here. And with Benedict Hippolyte being an offensive-minded coach, you kind of understand the train of thought there behind that decision.
Well, it's way too soon to wave the white flag and give up on this.
Way too soon.
So you're looking to make something happen on a possession-by-possessions.
Well, another punt is off. And that's number 41 again, Derek Trepanis. I've got to say, Trepanis is an interesting guy here tonight.
Well,
first 2 punts, lights out. Last 3 punts.
Well, he's kicking into the wind, as we both know.
And that's an excellent observation.
And that's a brisk wind. I'm looking at the trees right now in the east end zone, and that's a stiff wind he's kicking in, and that definitely plays a part in these games.
It's going to be a face pass penalty again on Hallandale.
The penalties are also really doing them in. That's when you can really see things start to take a bad turn for Hallandale. The penalties, because they played a pretty penalty-free first quarter, and they were right in this game. Penalties are the one thing you cannot afford to have when you're a younger team going against a veteran team that's coming in with the purpose that American Heritage came in with tonight.
Man, I tell you, it's one of those situations where, hey, when you look at this now, American Heritage is starting for the 4th consecutive time inside of the 50-yard line of Hallandale. That is difficult if you're the Hallandale Chargers to defend. As the ball goes deep into the end zone, pass is broken up.
Good defensive play.
Intended for Dontavius Butler, number 3, the big-time wide receiver for Heritage Plantation. It was broken up by number 4 from Hallandale, Trayon Lane.
He looks to be down.
Well, he was near the track there, Travis Thomason. It gets back to the point that you were making. Heritage, this is exactly what they don't want to have happen, especially up 26-0 in this game.
Precisely. Heritage, They have quality depth on their team. So I expect some substitutions becoming liberally once the second half starts.
If they can get to the second half. This is the second consecutive guy down. And, we're still trying to play past 2 minutes remaining in the second quarter of football here.
Hallandale territory right now. I believe I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Brown keep the ball right now and make a play with his legs. It's been a while. They've been sending the receivers out or whatever. And
it's good to see him getting back up, Dontavius Butler, and walking to the sidelines. You don't want to see a guy, particularly a senior, get shaken up to the point where he's going to miss any time, particularly in the playoffs. Promising future ahead of this young man. I've known him since he was a little kid. And I'm sure his parents are proud he's going to be continuing his education at the University of Pittsburgh. Wonderful talent in his own right. But nevertheless here, the Chargers have a situation, Travis Thomas. Second down, and they are facing another threat of scoring here by Plantation as the ball gets handed off to Jordan Johnson. And wow, he just sliced through that hole. And that's another touchdown there, Travis Thomas. And it begs the question, on the previous down, I know you're trying to establish something offensively in the pass game and leave it. Far be it from me to second guess any football coach, but why don't you just run the ball?
Well, that was a good play call to Dontavius Butler. He had his man.
I mean the previous series for Hallandale that got us to this point, where we still have 1:50 left on the clock.
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, they're really trying to win the game, and it's way too early to wave the white flag. I know it for some people they might look at it and you might look at the size of the lines and everything, but they're a young team, they're a scrappy team, and the coaches are going to coach and the players are going to play. So they're playing to win. They're not out here for a consolation prize. They're not out here for moral victories. They are looking to make a win. This is their season. They came in here at 3-1. So they absolutely know that they cannot afford to take this district loss tonight. So they're gonna pull out everything, including the kitchen sink. I mean, when you're playing for your season, some people might look at the scoreboard, some people might look at the clock, but when you're playing for your season, you're going on a series by series basis, and you figure if we can get a stop here. Listen, their defense has been playing fairly well. It's just Harris has been taking the ball over too deep within their territory.
Yeah, very well up to the point where, the last 3 to 4 drives have started inside the Hallandale Chargers 30-yard line. I don't care what defense you are. You could be Alabama. That's going to be difficult.
So that's what I'm saying. If the defense can get some stops, we can be all right. They just have to make some plays offensively. And I've seen stranger things happen. If their defense tightens up and they figure out a way to solve that riddle, who knows? This second half could get competitive.
As you can see, the testament to the windy night that we've got here on tonight, Zach Thompson needs some help holding up the football as he's prepared to kick with the wind. I guess it's good to note one of the reasons he's been able to put yet another ball into the end zone is he's got a nice little tailwind to give him the aid. But sum it up here, Travis Thomas, 1:42 left in this first half of football. Hallandale Beach, without their starting quarterback, without their starting linebacker, trails 33-0 early in this game with an entire half to play. They've been trying to work on something offensively with the wide receiver, Julian Holmes, and so far, not much has been working.
Right now, if I'm calling the plays, I'll probably come out with a screen.
Well, we're going to see Holmes is in the shotgun. He's going to hand the ball off. It looks like they're going to be committing to at least run the clock out here. That again goes to number 3, Taiwan Cash, the freshman, the U football all-star. And the clock continues to run, and it looks like Heritage is not going to call.
Well, there's a penalty on the group.
See the referee timeout here. I don't see a flag on the field.
Yeah, there's a flag.
Oh, there is a flag. Referees are conferencing. What do you think this is, Travis?
Well, It's a dead ball foul. I'm assuming it probably was unsportsmanlike. Sounds like somebody said something.
Well, you called it immediately unsportsmanlike on Hallandale, and it seems as if sometimes the issue that you have with a young team, it seems as if some of these guys are taking offense to the score, and it's just the competitive nature. Down 33-0 with this far left to go, but you hate to get in a situation like this, Travis.
Yeah, this is unfortunate, but this happens with young teams. Sometimes the composure just isn't there, and things are said. I don't know what he said, but he definitely was pulled out of the game. He's going back on the field now.
Well, let's see if they can manage to get themselves out of this situation. 2nd and long, and you've got your backup quarterback here. The playbook is already pretty small. What do you call here? Travis Thomas says it looks like they're going to run the ball up the middle. They get a few on the play, but that clock cannot run fast enough as it brings down 3rd and forever, Travis Thomas. You're an offensive guy. What's your play call here?
Run the ball and run the ball safely, and hopefully I can get the clock to run out before I'm forced to point.
Oh, this is the 3rd string quarterback, I'm being told. Wow. We're getting information that the 2nd string quarterback for this team broke his foot last week against Cardinal Gibbons, another very critical district matchup. So, Travis Thomas, this is as hard as you could possibly make it in a must-win football game for Hallandale.
Yeah, my hat definitely goes off to Hallandale. They came in, already facing long odds against American Heritage. And when you're starting quarterbacks out and you have to go all the way down to your 3rd string quarterback, that's rough.
I was wondering because as a receiver, most programs have at least 2 guys, even your JV guy who will, of course, at this period in the season, your JV quarterback will usually come up and dress. But now you get the information, and we just got it in here at the press box that, Hallandale is down even to their 3rd and in some cases their 4th string quarterback. And looks like they've even made a change at the punter position, Travis Thomas, with 19 seconds left to go in this half.
I seriously doubt that, with 19 seconds left, you're kind of forced to punt the ball. He's basically –
Well, he's in the end zone.
Yeah, if Heritage applies any pressure, this could be a problem. It looks like they might be looking –
And they are coming. Oh, wow. Excellent job to get that off.
Yeah.
Wow.
I give him a lot of credit for that one.
American Heritage.
Now, Heritage gets the ball back with approximately 12 seconds left in the game.
Did he take a knee here, or what do they do here, Travis?
It's really tough. I would probably take a knee, but then again, playoff time coming.
What do you think they're gonna do? This is a team you know well. Offensive coordinator Mario Lopez. Mario Perez. He's gonna be upset when he reviews this. He gets on me all the time for calling him Mario Lopez, but Mario Perez, this is a guy you know. What does he do here? It doesn't look like he's gonna take a knee right now.
I'm striking for the end zone. If I'm him, I'm striking for the end zone.
Looks like he's gonna do just that. Maybe a Jason Brown run up the middle.
Well, you got a single safety sitting in the middle of the field.
One high. Brown looks back to pass. It looks like Hallandale's bringing everybody. Pass is incomplete. Intended for Larice Nelson. Still got 7 seconds left on this clock. Heritage is not showing any desire to just kneel and get into the locker room here. They're going to try to make even another score as off camera, Benedict Hippolyte is coming over and speaking to his starting quarterback here, Legend Moore. Can only imagine what that conversation is about as we go back out to live action.
Another strike at the end zone, perhaps.
Brown goes back to pass. The pass is complete, and he's still on his feet. Looks like the clock is going to expire on number 85.
Anthony Schwartz.
And what a quarter it was for American Heritage. 33 unanswered points in the second quarter, Travis Thomas.
That was a strong offensive performance. But turnovers, penalties, great field position, they all contributed to that output from Heritage.
Well, turnovers, penalties, special team play. It's one of those situations where all of those things and more, in addition to playing one of the best teams in the country, has Hallandale down 33-0 at home in a must-win game to try to get into.
Well, we're just going to say this. Everything that could go right went right for Heritage in that second quarter. That was definitely an impressive 10 minutes of football. An impressive 12 minutes of football.
You know, and this is interesting because now that we get a chance to see one of Hallandale's better players, number 1, his name is Shamar Thornton. He's committed to FIU. He's in the stands.
Oh, that's not him. That's the JV number 1.
Oh, I'm sorry. But Shamar Thornton is a guy that he's on our roster. He's a guy that we've seen, playing basically. He's a guy that he's either wearing a different number or we haven't heard from him on tonight.
Well, I saw he made a play earlier in the game, but this is just a game where you have athletes across the board for American Heritage defensively, so it's really tough for guys to get off against them. The second half is going to be very interesting to see how both teams approach this. Hallandale being down to their third string quarterback, that's going to offensively they got to come up with some kind of game plan at the half just to try to get some points on the board and maybe just get themselves a shot in the arm because momentum, like I said, momentum can really change the way games were played. Because that game was nip and tuck, and once American Heritage got the momentum going, it was tough for Hallandale to get it back. Hallandale never were able to get back in sync.
So I finally got the rundown. I had to get off camera here a little bit and finally understand. So number 1, Shamar Thornton, he's injured tonight. Number 2, Legend Moore for Hallandale, he's injured tonight. We're on their third string quarterback for Hallandale. Number 5, Nicholas Reed, the junior linebacker, he's out. He was ejected in the first quarter. And it's a situation where it's like, wow, you're coming into probably the toughest game that you've had all season.
And you're coming in.
And you're coming in way underhanded. Not your second string guy.
Third string guys. Hey, I mean, what do you say? As Hallandale, your back was already against the wall as it came in. With all those injuries, that don't make it any easier for you. But that first quarter, they really, really came to play. And it just seemed like things just kind of slipped away from them that second quarter. They have to figure out some kind of way to seize momentum back. Heritage is going to get the ball to start the game. To start the second half. That's going to be a problem as well for Hallandale because their rhythm, the rhythm of their offense, they had really buckled down. They were really having their way with Hallandale's defense. So Hallandale have to make the necessary adjustments the second coming in at the half if they want to keep this game respectable because
that's the thing that I think that's where we are now. We're at the situation where it's about keeping this game respectable. It's about, you're still teaching here. If you're Benedict Arnold, you're not going to give up.
Benedict Hippolyte.
And you know what? It's so interesting that I told someone that's exactly the mistake I didn't want to make tonight.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, if you're Coach Hippolyte, we'll just say that.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you want to see. You want to see who's fighting when this game is pretty much out of hand. You want to see who's going to go out there. And if you get a chance, if you look at him in the far end zone, he's demonstrative. He's not going to give up out here. He's going to be a guy that, that's why he was brought in. He has the pedigree. He has the cachet. He was brought in to turn this program back into the national power. And you talk about Coach Jones, basically saying, look, I'm going to move on. He's now at Chaminade. There were a lot of departures here, Travis Thomas. You had a bunch of seniors. I think you had over 20 seniors on this team last year. But it's a reconstruction job here. 3-1 in the district up to this point. I think he deserves, a a lot of credit here.
He definitely deserves a lot of credit, and that's why I fully expect him to coach hard for the rest of the game, and I expect him to really – see, this is a building block moving forward because a lot of these guys are going to be returning, so you really want to see the character of your team right now. Things aren't going their way. You're going to see who's going to allow themselves to be coached, who's going to buy in, who's going to sell out for the team, who's going to continue to sacrifice their body and continue to try to make the plays, because a lot of things can happen favorably for you. If you continue to play hard, you will get breaks at some point during a football game. And as a coach, that's what you're looking for. He's going to continue to coach hard. He's going to continue to see who's playing hard, because moving forward, some positions could get determined for the upcoming season, and some guys could get penciled in as spots on the depth chart. And this is really a time to make an impression on the coaching staff with your character. You're down 33-0.
Yeah, because as you mentioned, this coaching staff, this Hallandale Beach coaching staff, they probably had to make some decisions and play some guys that if they had an entire offseason with competition and training, I'm not singling them out, but any program would do that. They probably had to play some guys that they probably would not have played. Starting now, unless something, miraculous happens in the second half, starting now, the evaluation for the 2017 season begins. And you want to see first who's going to come out here and fight in the second half, who's going to mail it in, who's going to say, hey, we're getting beat by a big-time team. It's 33-0. I'm not going out here. I'm not going to risk anything. You want to see what you got.
Well, I believe once you make it to this level of football, you're going to be ultra-competitive. 3-1 in the district, that doesn't happen by accident. Regardless of what this score looks like tonight, this is a good up-and-coming football program. And those players – I saw the energy they played with, and I saw the passion they played with earlier in the game. And even though the score looks kind of lopsided, like I said, American Heritage, they've had some very, very great field position. They've had a lot of things that went in their favor that have allowed this score to get to this point. Their defense is really playing. And when you're down to like your third or fourth string quarterback, maybe before the end of this game, things aren't going to be as crisp as they would be, say, if Legend was playing.
Well, check. Look at this roster, and we have it here just to show you. In yellow are all the sophomores on this roster. And there are just so many sophomores. There are even 3 to 4 freshmen who are receiving major time. Jones Bell, who is wearing number 1 tonight, he's gotten lots of time. You've got guys that are being played all over the place who are, freshmen, 13, 14-year-old kids playing on the varsity level. And this is not small time. This is big time 5A Florida football tonight. And it's definitely a challenge. And I received a note off camera that more than 30 seniors graduated off this team last year. This Hallandale Beach Charger team, when we slotted this game, Travis Thomas, a lot of people are asking, usually hotbed, the games are a little bit more competitive. When we slotted this game was to be a very, very competitive game, especially early, because not only was it going to be for the district playoff, it was also going to contain some of the more electrifying athletes and a nationally rated team in American Heritage. But when you come in and you don't have your starting quarterback after the first series, your starting linebacker gets ejected, things tend to go a little bit to the south. But thank you for joining us indeed. Brandon O'Doy, Travis Thomas, once again, National Game of the Week, footballhotbed.com. I want to talk a little bit while we have a halftime score of 33-0. American Heritage Plantation is up about our upcoming All-American games and our All-American game platform. Football Hotbed has one of the best All-American game platforms in the country, and we're getting ready right here in South Florida to welcome 70 of the best athletes in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes, and we're looking forward to inviting you. So if you feel that you have what it takes, nominate yourself. info@footballhotbed.com, and we're getting ready to run our infomercial, and we'll come back and we'll talk more about it. You're tuning in to footballhotbed.com.
Hi, I'm Brandon O'Doy of footballhotbed.com. Do you feel like you're one of the best middle school football players in the United States? Well, we invite you to nominate yourself, parents, players, and coaches. Nominate your middle school athletes for the 2016 Football Hotbed Middle School All-American Game. It will be played January 7th 2007 at the nationally recognized high school football power, St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. There is no registration cost to participate in this year's game. Nominate yourself at info@footballhotbed.com.
So welcome back live, footballhotbed.com, as we come back into the broadcast studios. Travis Thomas, and like I said, we were talking about our middle school All-American game, which will take place in January 4th through the 7th here at St. Thomas Aquinas. You've known about this game, and you get a chance to see some of the best athletes talk about this game and what it really does and provides, you know, for the young football athletes that are out here across the country.
Well, this game is a great platform and a great showcase for some of these young athletes who, you know, they've played their league play throughout the season. They've stood out. They've established themselves as some of the best youth players in the country. And now you're going to get a chance to match up in an all-star setting with some high school coaching and a high school venue. And this is one last youth game to really put yourself on the map and showcase yourself for the high school coaches that are going to be out there. And a lot of players have played in this game last year. They've went on and they've made some things happen on the high school level, on the varsity level, almost immediately.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we wanted to introduce this year is the fact that the game will be absolutely free of charge. There are about 20 to 25 middle school All-American games all across the country. Our game will be free. You do have to pay to get here. You have to pay to stay and for your meals, but you will not have to pay a registration fee. And we're proud of that this year, and we're really just stepping out on faith. And not only that, we're having our middle school All-American game. This will be our third annual, but we're also going to have our National Freshman Showcase All-American game up in Atlanta, Georgia, McEachern High School, MLK weekend. It's going to be January 13th through the 16th. That's where we're going to invite the nation's best freshmen to participate, and that game is all about college recruitment. A lot of times, freshmen don't get a chance to get varsity film, and if you're talking about wanting to be recruited by college coaches, you've got to have varsity film. Well, 80% of the guys in this game are going to be varsity players. So for a lot of kids, it'll be their first varsity game, and it'll give them a chance to get some film that they could upload to their Huddle accounts, make highlights for, and begin that recruitment process.
It's going to be a great experience. You know, a lot of these kids, they're going to be traveling to play a competitive game out of the state for the first time. And you're going to be playing different players from all over the country, players who you've probably read about, players you're going to be reading about in the future. And this is a chance to make some nice connections, possibly bond, some friendships. Some of these guys you're probably going to see later on the college camp circuit. So it's a head start, you know, and it's a nice way to top off your freshman season. People, they have a successful freshman campaign. You come to the hotbed game, you really establish yourself, you build some momentum heading to your sophomore year.
And that's what it's about, building momentum. And not only that, testing yourself with guys outside of your region. If you're playing in Kentucky, you're playing in Iowa, you know, even if you're in Texas, come to Atlanta, Georgia, which is becoming a new hotbed for football. Come to Cobb County, McEachern High School, which is our host location. We do have a registration fee for our freshman game. It's very reasonable, but the situation is such that the exposure level is going to be high, and we're going to be able to get you in front of the college coaches that we have relationships with. And again, we want to shout out all of our college coaches and say thanks for listening to this broadcast. We're getting ready to go back to the second half, but just before we do, Travis Thomas, I'd be remiss if we didn't take this opportunity to kind of explain what we do here at Hotbed. We've had a pretty good season. This is our fourth contest. We've had St. Thomas versus Booker T. Washington when they were the number 1, and the number 6 team in the nation. We had IMG Oxbridge on 2 weeks ago, IMG number 2 team in the nation. We had St. Thomas and Miramar when St. Thomas was still top ranked. They were number 10 in the nation. And now tonight we have American Heritage Plantation against Hallandale. They're number 8 in the nation. Every South Florida team outside of Miami Central that's had a national ranking, we've had them on footballhotbed.com and sort of give the viewers out there what our science is and why we do what we do and why we're looking to expand even in next season.
Well, here's a thing. We wanted the people to see this the high level of football that we're playing right here in South Florida and compare it to the rest of the nation, because we're expecting to draw a national audience. Because when you see these teams in these polls, you really want to get a chance to see them. And at Football Hotbed, it's our privilege and honor. It's an honor to bring these guys to you. Tonight, we have American Heritage. These guys have the #1 rated cornerback for the class of 2018, Pat Surtain Jr. So that's a guy who a lot of colleges are hot on the recruiting trail for. You have also
Clemson and, all of the SEC teams, all of the SEC schools. I don't know how much we're going to see of him of the next half, but
yeah, you got Kaleon Herbert. He's a Michigan commit. You have Tadero Slayton. He's a big-time prospect. You have Andrew Chatfield. He's on the next tier of prospects. You have a lot of talent. You have Anthony Schwartz. He's one of the fastest kids in the entire country.
Yeah.
This guy's run a sub 10.500 on more than one occasion.
There's no shortage of talent for this American Heritage team. And what we're going to begin to do after this season is we're going to start coming to you. We'll start going to Alabama. We're going to start coming to California. We want to come to all of those areas. We can't come to Texas because Texas won't allow live streaming of football games. You have to stream at least 1 hour after the conclusion of a game. But nevertheless, Texas, you need to open up your doors for Football Hotbed. We want to come, and we want to put the very best games on a national platform, which we have, and get them out to an audience. We've been around since 2011. Travis Thomas, co-founder here, Brandon O'Doy. And it's been a situation where we've kind of grinded for a long time to get to this point. We started on Hotbed Radio many years ago. We was just covering youth football here in South Florida. That's all we covered.
Yes.
Now we're covering high school, college, and we're going to be eventually down the line covering pro football, but we've got a lot of things in store, and so we're looking forward for your continued support. Also want to bring this out before I go back to you, Travis, before we get ready to start the second half. We're having our national regional circuit of camps. This year it's going to be for high school and youth football athletes alike. Get ready to go to footballhotbed.com and register for our regional combines. We're going to be in 8 cities during the offseason in addition to our All-American game. So exciting times for Football Hotbed and everything that we're doing.
Well, tell the people about some of the cities that you've already brought the Hotbed combines to.
Well, we've been to L.A. We had combines the previous 2 years, 2015, 2016. We've been to Baltimore. We've been to Atlanta. We go there every year. We've been to Houston. We've been to the Midwest, Chicago. We've been to Portland, Oregon. We just came back from Oregon this past year. So we try to go to every region of the country and give kids an opportunity to make a name for themselves. And what we do is we run all of our combine drills, the 40s, all of the metrics, and we compare you to other people across the country. But more importantly, we do the rich media. We take film. We get the photos. We start to promote and push you out there and try to give you the best opportunity that you can to be recruited and get to that next level. But more importantly than even all of that, wherever there's good football being played,
Football Hotbed is there. It's a hotbed world.
And that's what it's always been about. And it's been a situation where, as we say hello to Mario Perez. Thank you for helping me. I was getting ready to call him something else again. But that's what we've always been about. So we're going to take a break here as we get ready to transition back to on-field action. I want to thank again John Ross, who has been wonderful all season long. John comes all the way down from Cocoa Beach to be with us. If you need production help in the area of live streaming, he's, of course, somebody we highly recommend. And he's behind the scenes of all of our broadcasts here at Football Hotbed, and he's waving off camera as we get prepared to go back out to live action here. Travis Thomas, what does this team have to do in Hallandale to make this? I mean, winning is going to be a tough sell at this point, but what do they have to do to make this a good scenario, a constructive night of football overall for this program?
Well, they have to approach this on a drive-by-drive kind of. They have to take it a drive-by-drive approach. You're not going to get it all back at once. Basically, the defense has to make stops. We have to eliminate the penalties and the turnovers. Offense, they have to put together a drive. Thus far, they haven't been able to sustain anything against the Heritage defense. So that's going to be the main challenge for them. defensively come up with some stops, eliminate turnovers and penalties, and offensively they have to find the end zone.
And for American Heritage, we talked about several times, one of the things that they're going to struggle with is trying to keep everybody healthy and trying to understand just how much football they need to play with their, starting players, realizing that the playoffs are just around the corner. This is their last game of the season.
Yes, definitely. You want to go out strong. You want to go out with a nice effort because with them being off next week, you don't want your players to come out in the playoffs being rusty. The first round opponent, though, typically isn't the strongest team that you'll necessarily face. But come playoff time, everybody's owing zip. You don't want to take anybody for granted. That's why it's so pivotal for them to have a nice effort tonight going into the playoff.
Yeah, and Heritage first round opponent, it looks like we're going to have another kick. American Heritage choosing to take the yardage there as that kick was out of bounds. It looks like their first round opponent, Heritage, would be either Port St. Lucie or Fort Pierce, just up the road closer to where John Ross is from. But those are very winnable games if you're American Heritage.
Yes, but you can't take any opponent for granted come playoff time because stranger things have happened. So I'm going to look for Heritage to come out. They're going to try to sharpen their sword a little bit the second half before I think they start bringing in some of the subs.
Bye. Watch that sleeve. They're finally getting a kick away. It's up, and Lyrese Nelson fields it there. A little bit of a delay on that, but he finally gets the ball, and he's brought down. Kind of an interesting start to this second half, Travis Thomas. It kind of looks like the air has been popped out of this balloon, so to speak, as far as this football game is concerned, but there's a significant amount of time to be played here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm looking at the Hallandale sideline. I don't see a lot of activity, but one thing, I don't see any hanging heads. I don't see anybody dejected or anything. So we're going to see how they really come out here for this first drive. I like the heart of Hallandale. This is a good young team, and that's why I'm not so much hung up on the score tonight.
Well, they're going to be a problem. They're going to be a big problem.
And that's another reason why it was so pivotal for us to get this broadcast.
Because you want to see who you're going to have to deal with in the future. And look, they come out right away, pressuring the quarterback. The pressure was up the middle. I believe that was number 14, Michael Neesmith, blitzing from the safety position. There's no give up in this team, and that's a product of the coaching. I think Coach Hippolyte, he's going to be a guy that in the coaching circles, he's from the Ice Harris coaching tree at Booker T. Washington. 3-1 in the district. He's probably going to be 3-2 in his first year. I mean, I had people tell me Hallandale wouldn't win a game this year as they hand off up the middle.
Well, those people were fools who said that.
Well, nevertheless, I mean, everybody's got their opinions, and, everyone's definitely entitled to them. But, from that standpoint, as Abraham picks up a first down for Plantation, from that standpoint, it just goes to show you what the outside perception of this Hallandale program was prior to the start of the season.
Yes, their coach left. Yes, a lot of players graduated. Yes, there are some players who transferred
30
out.
seniors.
But there's a lot of pride.
Plus transfers.
There's a lot of pride in this community.
A lot of pride in this community indeed. And Travis Thomas, you're from not far away from here. Talk about the ethos of this community and what this Charger program is all about.
Well, the Charger program, it really caught fire the last few years. I mean, the last few years were magical.
Have a player down on the field. Go ahead.
The last few years were magical in this program. I mean, like last year, a game removed from state. A couple of years ago, they had the Central Rockets on the ropes on this very field. So this program, they've really come around. Yeah, they've taken a somewhat of a step back this year from what the last couple of years, 2 straight playoff appearances. But this is a very young team. They're building it the right way. They're building it from within. They're building it with youth. They're not looking out, going to try to get a bunch of big-name transfers. They're doing it bit by bit, brick by brick. If you want to build a successful program, sometimes you have to hit the reset button, and get things recalibrated. And that's what I think they've done with this program. If the score stays the same, a 3-2 record is nothing really to be ashamed of in this district. When you consider you have the likes of Miami Jackson, Cardinal Gibbons, Coconut Creek, Stranahan. So they've done very well for a young team to be 3-1 up to this point.
No, I think they definitely have, and I think the success has been for Coach Hippolyte, as we have a very serious conversation. We have a very serious situation, rather, here on the field, where we're having the stretchers brought out, and we want to, take the opportunity to, pray and offer our thoughts and prayers to this young man who's down on the field. We're going to take a quick time out here.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Brandon O'Doy of FootballHotbed.com. Do you feel like you're one of the best middle school football players in the United States? Well, we invite you to nominate yourself, parents, players, and coaches. Nominate your middle school athletes for the 2016 Football Hotbed Middle School All-American Game. It will be played January 7th, 2007 at the nationally recognized high school football power, St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. There is no registration cost to participate in this year's game. Nominate yourself at info@footballhotbed.com.
As we have a timeout on the field, Brandon O'Doy,
Travis
Thomas. It's a situation where we've got a young man down, and out of respect to his family, we're just going to come back into the broadcast booth for just a moment. But what we were talking about, Travis, is, sort of the rebuilding nature of this Hallandale program. What the critical job for Coach Hippolyte was coming into this situation was that how can you make it be a scenario where the program does not take such a giant fall off from basically being a state caliber football team and a football program for the previous 2-3 seasons?
Well, I think him and his staff, they did an excellent job. They've kept it somewhat together. I mean, like, when you see the level that this team had ascended to within the last few years, they were one of the top programs in the state. So it's natural when you bring in a new coach and you have that many graduating seniors. And there were some transfers. There was a time when they weren't quite sure who was going to be the head coach of the program. So let's be real about the way South Florida football operates. They have the proverbial shopping cart. When there's a coach or a coach not in place or whatever, people use that opportunity to they come in and they talk to a few guys or some guys and their parents. They start looking at other
Let's
programs.
keep it real. They come in and they take over your program.
No, we're not going to speculate.
No, it's not speculation. Listen. One thing we've never done on Football Hotbed is we've never shied away from the truth. I used to go by the name Sue Me For What. I've graduated from that in the sense of, I don't tell as much truth as I used to. But this is the thing, and I want to bring this up in consideration of the game that's going to be played on tomorrow. Miami Northwestern, Miami Carroll City. You look at a situation where, as we have the young man that has been carted off the field, so it's good news that he's up, and we're looking for some signs from him that he is up and alert, but definitely want to continue to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. But nevertheless, as a wonderful gesture here, as the entire Hallandale team goes over, and just want to let everybody see this, the entire Hallandale team goes over to be with this young man and give him a high five and just let them know how much they feel about him. And that's the tricky thing, Travis Thomas, about, what it is that we do here in covering football, that sometimes these young men, have serious injuries as we prepare to get back out to live action. It's a scenario where, you always hope for the best, but talking about this Charger program, the goal was bringing in a guy like Coach Hippolyte. Yeah, you're going to have some fall off, but hopefully it's not that far off. And I think contending even up to your last game for the district title or for a district playoff spot has got to be seen as a win for this Charger program.
Well, I'm hesitant to call it a fall off. I'm just thinking that you're coming out with a much younger
I didn't
team.
call it a fall off.
Yeah.
I said you want to prevent the fall off.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I would be hesitant. They didn't fall off. What they did is basically they came with some younger guys, a lot of guys who in the past, they might have been JV guys. They're getting significant playing time on varsity now.
as we go back out to live action, and a little bit too hasty there in the backfield, the defensive backfield for the Chargers. And you can pretty much see that Hallandale is going to be way more aggressive defensively, as Devin Sanders was called for the offside penalty. They're going to be more aggressive here in this second half, and Heritage doesn't appear to be subbing that many new guys in.
It doesn't appear that way, at least not yet.
Well, a little razzle-dazzle to Mr. Anthony Schwartz, and it was not fooled at all, was Hallandale, especially number 10. That's Zamani Jones, the senior DB. He showed why he's been 4 years in a program on the varsity level, and he stayed at home.
Yes. Against that kind of speed, you need to definitely stay at home because, like I said, Anthony Schwartz, one of the fastest kids in the nation, hey, he could have kicked up a lot of dust.
You keep saying that. Why is he considered one of the fastest kids?
This man has run a sub 10.5 in the 100 on more than one occasion.
Wow. Jason Brown in the shotgun formation. The handoff is to Abraham. Wow, an inspired Hallandale Charger defense, Travis Thomas.
Yeah, definitely. This Hallandale team, they're not afraid. They're not intimidated the least bit. They might get overpowered, but their heart is definitely there. They're going to make it. They're definitely going to make this thing competitive, at least from a competition standpoint. The scoreboard might say one thing, but you can't measure the heart of these kids. They're coming to play, and they're not laying down.
Well, they're definitely not. Third down here. They've been aggressive as a defense, Hallandale has in every position right now. Coach Mario Perez does not appear to be taking his foot off the gas, and Brown goes down, and so does Larice Nelson, who catches the pass.
Physical tackle out there on the edge.
This is a different team. Fourth down here, Travis Thomas, and they're going to have to punt this away. This is the Hallandale defense that we saw in the first quarter.
Yeah, this is the Hallandale defense minus the penalties. This is what this Hallandale defense is, minus the penalties. This is what we saw in the first quarter.
First quarter, if you're just joining us, no points given up by Hallandale. Second quarter, 33 points given up by this Hallandale Charger defense, Travis Thomas.
Third quarter, they're coming out with an inspired effort.
I told you they would go to halftime, and Coach Hippolyte is going to do what he does. And as you can see, 3 in some, but they're going to have to punt this football, or maybe there's a little trickeration. I don't know.
Nah, I doubt it. I think they're going to just punt it out.
Probably going to take the penalty here, the delay of game, get 5 additional yards, and try to pin them back deep into the end zone. They're still coaching pretty hard there on the Heritage side. This is about getting ready for playoff football.
For all intents and purposes, this is Heritage's first-round playoff game. You don't want to come out with a flat effort. You don't want to come out lackadaisical, looking past your opponent, because sometimes once you let complacency creep into your camp, it's kind of hard to get rid of it because you don't have a switch you can turn on and off. So you want to keep your foot on the gas. And when I say that, I don't mean necessarily say running up and scoring your opponent, but you want to be looking to execute.
Nice execution there. Zach Thompson picks up a snap that was on the ground. It's going to be down, but nevertheless, Hallandale has to consider that a win, Travis Thomas, as they get the ball back after kicking off to American Heritage, and not only that, having one of their players carted off the field.
It's going to be interesting to see what the offensive strategy is going to be on this drive here.
Well, they've had an entire halftime to think about it. This is where we're going to see the coaching level. Coach Hippolyte is an offensive-minded coach. I think he's had enough time to think about what he's going to do here. It looks like Julian Holmes is going to come back, the receiver, and he's, again, the third-string quarterback here, and he's joined in the backfield by true freshman Taiwan Cash, and also flanked by Devin Sanders, the running back. And the give is to Sanders up the middle.
Keep in mind, the Hallandale does have the win with them this quarter.
But the give is to Cash up the middle, and Hallandale is playing with the win, which is important, Travis, because especially in the kicking game, they're going to need to, in order for this score not to balloon, they're going to need to get back to some of the good punting that they were doing in that first quarter.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm going to tell you this. Moving forward in the future, Taiwan Cash is going to be an absolute monster. He's a freshman. He's running hard. He's not doing a lot of dancing. He's not jerking. He's not trying to get to the outside. He's not afraid to get between the tackles, and he's meeting some grown men out there on that Heritage front, and he's standing in the paint.
Tywan Cash, the freshman out of the Miami Gardens Chiefs program, spent some time, the majority of his time rather, at the Ravens program, so we just call him a Miami Gardens youth football product. He gets the ball again on second down, and it looks like he's a guy that probably needs to put on a few pounds as far as, strength, because he's out here playing against 18, 19-year-old kids. But as you say, he's going to be a guy that you're going to want to keep an eye on, and he's one of about 5 or 6 freshmen on this varsity roster there at Hallandale. And again, Travis Thomas, I got to say, this is a team next year. They're going to give a lot of people some problems. And now when people see that, hey, they're not as bad as people thought they were going to be in the transfer game, they might have some opportunities that are looming.
Moving forward for the next couple of seasons, I really expect this Hallandale team to possibly regain that form that they've had the previous few seasons.
Well, some miscommunication in the backfield there, but Hallandale definitely seems to be running the football and placing an emphasis on that in this second half rather. Talk about the prospects of Heritage. You talked about Patrick Surtain Jr. It's wonderful to see him, number 2. He's lining up to return the punt. You talk about, Marco Wilson, who's committed to Florida. Number 1, the defensive back. You talk about Anthony Mincy. You talk about Andrew Chatfield, these talented guys, at the linebacker position. Kaleon Herbert. Kaleon Herbert, the list goes on and on and on. TJ Slanton Jr., who reports are these last couple of weeks that University of Miami is making a big push for. It's just the talent pool is so rich as Surtain Jr. gets the ball, and, man, he is moving.
Wow.
My goodness gracious. Is it any wonder why this guy is being sought after by almost everyone in the country? Touchdown, Pat Surtain, and another player down on the field, but Travis Thomas, that was electric.
Smooth as silk. I can see him doing that on a lot of Saturdays. I can see him electrifying some college stadiums across the United States.
Well, there are, several people who are vying for his services. Clemson has been out to see him. Basically every team in the SEC. His father, of course, Pat Surtain Sr., former Miami Dolphin. Not only was he a Dolphin, he was a couple of weeks that one of the better University of Miami is making a big push for. That's saying a lot in the historic franchise. It's just talent pool is so rich as Surtain Jr. gets the ball, and, man, he is moving.
Well, I see that Junior Pat Surtain Jr. He's been coached up very well by his dad. He's ahead of where the average kid is his age because of his dad's vast knowledge. And over there at American Heritage, they have some of the best DB coaches you'll find in South Florida. But some of the similarities, he's a dog. Quote.
Yeah, dog indeed. And defensive coordinator Chad Wilson, whose son is Quincy Wilson, and Marco Wilson is playing at Heritage right now. Quincy, just talk about him for just a moment. There's some people who think he might be a first-round draft pick coming out his junior season from the Florida Gator program.
Quincy Wilson, he's an excellent prospect. He plays hard. He does not give up completions. He challenges on every play. A lot of people, they tend to want to underrate him. I've yet to figure out why they want to underrate this guy. All he's done is produce at every level. I remember him when he was at West Pines, produced. U School, produced. University of Florida, produced. Do you have some guys that are just productive at every stop?
Well, tell us, for those listening outside of the area, West Pines and U School, give us more details on that.
The West Pines Wildcats, they're a member of the American Youth Football League. Quincy Wilson, he played youth football there, and he was a very productive guy throughout his career there. Then he moved on to the university school. They were the Suns at the time. Now they've transitioned to the Sharks. But he was one of the top guys in the country. He was a Under Armour All-American. And then he went to the University of Florida. And for whatever reason, at every level, people just want to doubt him. And I think he gets off on proving the doubters wrong.
Well, he definitely has the moxie and the swag, as you might say. And it's one of those situations where he's a guy that he has something you cannot coach. He's got size and speed. And then he's got that raw ability and that want to at the defensive back position that, you know, his brother also has. And it's just a pleasure to watch these kids from this Plantation, American Heritage Plantation program, as they kick off here, and Hallandale wisely calls a fair catch. And
I'm having a great moment here because I see a couple of my former youth players. They were out there on the field. A couple of younger guys on Heritage varsity, Tyler Jones and Tyler Mackey. They were down there on kick coverage. So I'm happy to see that these guys, they've made it to the high school level and they've listened to some of the things that us as coaches teach them and preach to them on a daily basis. And when you come out here and see your guys on these Friday night lights, it means a lot to you.
Absolutely. Tyler Mackey is, of course, a football hotbed middle school All-American from last season, getting a chance to get some of his first varsity action here on tonight. And it'll be interesting to see if he gets a chance to get some game action. He's definitely in on special teams. But the give is to Taiwan Cash again, and Hallandale with Julian Holmes at quarterback, third-string quarterback. Looks like they're resigned to running the football on offense, Travis.
And that's not necessarily a bad move. You know, prevent turnovers, keep the clock running, and just keep this game from getting any uglier than it is already on the scoreboard.
Well, there's a lot to be gained from an offensive experience standpoint. You're not going to face very many defensive fronts that look as big as the one you see from Heritage Plantation, Travis.
That's definitely. You're not going to see that many defensive fronts on a daily basis. This is a great learning curve for the young players from Hallandale.
Well, they're trying Pat Surtain Jr., and doesn't appear to be the move that you want to make, particularly with your third-string quarterback as he gets the pick. He's having quite a third quarter.
Hey, he's doing what 5 stars do. I said that earlier in the season. 5 stars perform at a certain level.
And this is why you watch a game like this. This is why even when this game is kind of getting a little bit out of control, you have so much talent, particularly at Heritage, where, you know, you want to just get a chance to see. And guys who are, you know, tuned in, who are recruiting junkies from Clemson, from Auburn, from Florida, and all of the big-time programs, Florida State, wherever this young man might land, he's still got another year of high school football to play. They're tuning in, just salivating, Travis Thomas.
Patrick Surtain Jr. is as advertised.
Well, an interesting development here as we have a change at quarterback. That appears to be Edwin Rhodes.
A young freshman phenom from the Miami Gardens program as well.
Edwin Rhodes hands off up the middle, and the youth movement is definitely on as Jordan Johnson takes the ball up the middle. Give us a rundown on Mr. Rhodes, who didn't appear to be playing much varsity action as they have him wearing number 36.
Well, he got, you know, what he did, he played JV. He matriculated through the program. A lot of people, they're in a rush to get on varsity. But when you have a season starter on varsity quarterback like Jason Brown, what's the rush to get on varsity and just be a backup when you can play on JV, get all the game reps, and then you can kind of get acclimated to the speed of the game?
Absolutely. Rhodes is the handoff to your former player,
Tyler Jones.
Tyler Jones, who's a guy who's kind of getting a little bit lost in the sauce here in the running back rotation for Heritage. But here's another guy who's going to get good experience at the varsity level, and after a few graduations, maybe a guy they begin to rely on.
Well, he's a sophomore. You know, when you go to a program like American Heritage, you have to understand they have quality depth, and you wait your turn. There's some programs you go to and you can immediately be inserted for playing time, but then you go to other programs and you understand. When you go to American Heritage, you're going for a quality education, and you're going to make a state title run. So when you're going to make a state title run, you're going to have to wait your turn most cases. So a lot of these young guys, when they go to this program, they understand it's going to be a process. By your sophomore year, if you really do your thing, you can get some varsity reps. For your freshman year, whatever, you're going to bide your time on JV. Sophomore year, depends on the depth at your position. You'll get some playing time, but then, you know, you could also be looking at the JV. By your junior year, you should be primed up and ready to go.
Absolutely, and as we had a timeout on the field, another player down, want to emphasize the fact that now that Heritage has these younger guys in, this is an opportunity not only for Hallandale to play some of their younger guys, as it looks like they are doing, but also for the Heritage young men to get a chance to get that key and critical varsity film that they desperately need. Edwin Rhodes, football hotbed All-American, his 7th grade year, up in Jacksonville, Bowles, Florida. You know, as we're switching sides here, it looks like
That's a change of quarter.
change of quarters because we have a running clock. This is kind of like a little bit unorthodox, just kind of doing it without the stoppage of time necessarily because time is vastly fleeting away. We're going to have a running clock here. But if you're Pat Surtain Sr., head coach of American Heritage, and if you're Benedict Hippolyte, you want to see what your young guys are going to do. And I think gentleman's agreement, kind of unspoken, this is basically, a JV game, a graduated JV game right now with a lot of young talent into the game right now.
Well, at this level, you're always one snap away from being a starter. Tyler Jones running hard. 4-yard pickup. Low center of gravity, great speed. He doesn't have the longest strides because he's maybe like 5'7". But like I said, he has those bursts, and if he gets a step on you, it's going to be tough to catch him.
Well, you can just see the dance and the bounce and the step of these younger guys as they come in. They're racing to their first varsity action, and their eyes are wide open. Kind of exciting right now in fourth quarter football, running clock situation here as Rhodes gets a chance to attempt his first pass, and it is complete on the far side. It looks like it's complete to number 80 for American Heritage. That's Anthony Brown. He's the junior wide receiver. You're still rolling in upperclassmen if you're Heritage at the skill position on offense.
And credit Hallandale, that young team, they're still full of fight. They're not giving up. They're not backing down one step.
Well, Rhodes continues the offense with him. You're going to see a lot more passing. He is not much of a dual threat. He's a guy that can run but chooses not to a lot of times, as the give is back to the young man, the young sophomore, Travis Thomas.
Jones.
Tyler Jones is a guy, I remember seeing him on the youth football level and thinking, wow, this guy is going to be unstoppable when he gets to high school. But I will say, it's one of those situations where he's probably about the same size as he was in 8th grade. And so I don't think he's done growing particularly, but there hasn't been a lot of change in him physically other than, getting massive in the arms and legs as he takes the ball again.
Well, even in his youth days, he had a nice, impressive lower body. And I've seen him up close the last few months. He has put on some weight. He's not necessarily the tallest back, but he has a low center of gravity. He has pretty good balance. And the way he's being brought along, it's going to help him long term. It's going to help his career.
Well, absolutely. And this is interesting. This is, a cool young time because it looks as if, there's still some seniors out there for Heritage, but they're giving Rhodes and particularly Jones the opportunity to get some good time here as they're stopped. Hallandale's got some young players in the game as well, and they're led defensively on that last tackle by number 27, Damian Santos. He's a true freshman coming all the way over from his linebacker position to make the play.
This Hallandale team, they're very hungry. I would really not want to be the team that have to face them in the next couple of years.
They're going to be nasty. I mean, you talk about freshman Damian Sanders, Taiwan Cash. I mean, they got a bunch of freshmen as I'm looking over the roster. Randy Ingram on the offensive line, Khalil Paramore, Tyron Streeter. All of these guys are on the varsity roster. And then you got just a litany of sophomores as well. Dejuan Johnson, Kimbrell Leon, as the give is along the left-hand side. And they're stepping up right now, Travis Thomas.
Definitely.
It's young guys versus young guys. And right now, Hallandale is saying, look, we don't care. I mean, we want our varsity film too.
Definitely. Listen, that's what I said. That's what the coaches, you love to see that out of your players. They're just not quitting. They're not giving up. When I was looking at their sideline, I don't see any heads hung. They're not giving up. They're not waving in the white flag. These guys have a lot of pride. 2 years from now, mark my words.
I think next year.
No, 2 years from now.
Next year.
This
Legend
game.
more.
No, listen what I'm saying. 2 years from now, this game is gonna play a big part potentially in national rankings.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I had to let you get it all out. Next year, this game is going to be highly competitive. I can just say that. It was highly competitive the last 2 years. Took a year off. Gibbons was down. They are now back up. I think, District 5A, as a pick, was completely dropped It was a gimme pick by number 30, Delon Smith, the junior. He won't get anything easier than that, as a flag is down also on the play. Or was that a fourth down play? That was a fourth down play.
What do they call it? They call it intentional grounding? No, what do they call it?
No, there was a flag. It's going to be against Heritage Plantation, but
Okay. What do they call it?
I'm just looking at how almost the entire sideline for Hallandale, including the injured players, went to rub it in the nose of number 30, Delon Smith, who got a gimme really up for grabs interception, and he completely dropped it. Hey, with friends like that, who needs enemies,
You know,
man?
what was the call on that play, Brandon?
We're looking for the call. Got so caught up and wrapped up in the celebration of the missed or sort of the agony in the missed interception.
Well, I guess
The call gets
it was declined. They declined.
whatever it is. It was fourth down. So now Hallandale's back on offense, and they're running even some more young players. Number 28, Andrew Henley. He's a freshman wide receiver. Another freshman who's getting some burn here late in this game. And, Travis, as we wind to a close, one of the quicker games that we've had here on Football Hotbed.
No doubt. Yeah, I see another one of my players out there getting some burn at safety spot. Young Tyler Mackey, number 32. Not that we can confuse with Tyler Jones, number 25.
Or Tyler March.
Correct.
You got to know your Tylers when it comes to American Heritage Plantation. They got quite a few of those. But as you say, the young movement is on for both these teams as the ball is given up the middle again. And, wow, impressive run for number 28, Andrew Henley, the freshman. He's listed as a wide receiver, Travis Thomas, but looks like he'll be in the running back room moving forward based on how he's running right now.
Hallandale have they got a lot of heart on that roster.
A lot of heart and a lot of talent, particularly at freshman and sophomore. And when you have young talent, you can sell the program. Legend Moore, it's a shame. If you get a chance, Google Legend Moore Hallandale and bring up his huddle, and I can tell you, it's a shame we didn't get a chance to see this guy tonight.
Yeah, from that one run that I saw him have, I thought he was going to be a very, very big part of this Hallandale attack tonight.
You talk about Legend Moore, their starting quarterback, who's not in this game. He's a junior, so he'll be back. And that's why I say, Travis Thomas, next year is the year.
Yeah.
I don't think you can't look 2 years away unless you're St. Thomas or American Heritage. Next year is the year, particularly when you're talking about a public school program here in South Florida. Next year is the year for Hallandale to really make some major noise, but they've got to beat Heritage, and that's going to be something they're going to be pressed to do, particularly with all this talent. Another young player is down, but he's going to pop up.
Yeah.
It's good to see that here.
Yeah, this is impressive young athletes out here on both sides of the ball.
Well, like you say, it's a graduated JV game. There's some duplication of numbers as we got a new number 2 out there. That's definitely not Patrick Surtain, as he looks to have dropped a couple of inches. You'll see him in your screen at the top left-hand corner. But it just underscores the importance of getting a look. And as you said, the 2017 season for Hallandale starts tonight, Travis Thomas.
Almost definitely. And based on what I've seen tonight out of the younger guys, the future is very bright. These guys, they've seen the ball in. They've bought into the program. If they can keep this all together, they can make some noise. They're going to be right back in the playoff conversation next season.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be a scenario where I don't know. I want to spend some time talking about Miami Northwestern and Carroll City tomorrow night. And we're still available to do that game if anyone in Dade County is listening, because we need to have more of the South Florida big-time matchups broadcast to national audiences. If ESPN or other networks are not going to come in here and broadcast those games, Football Hotbed is willing and ready to take those big games to the masses. And that's a game, Travis Thomas, that is going to do some agenda setting, particularly for 6A. But I think 5A next year, with the resurgence of Gibbons, Hallandale being a young, good program, as you see them on the jet sweep there, and Heritage, what they've consistently been over the last 5, 6, 7 years. I think 5A is going to be one of the toughest districts. I think it's going to overtake 6A. 5A District 16, I should say.
Hey, they're going to be if they don't overtake them, they'll be right there. See, there's the thing, that 6A, that meat grinder district down there in Dade County with Norland, Carroll City, Northwestern, and Central, that's one of the toughest districts in the entire country. But this district right here,
and it did make a list, I think, by USA Today, high school sports. It made the list as one of the toughest districts to play in. You have Miami Central, Miami Norland, Miami Carroll City, and Miami Northwestern, all in district. Used to be Hialeah, Miami Lakes. They dropped out. I can't think it makes a difference.
I can't think of a tougher district in the country.
I think this one will challenge it. I think if you got a good Hallandale team with these young players, as the pass is deep there and it's complete.
Hallandale.
I think, Travis, I honestly think that this 5A District 15, as the pass is complete to Anthony Frederick, the sophomore, that's a name that I've heard before, particularly on youth football circles. And now Hallandale is doing something that they would love to do, is get into the end zone here with a running clock, 1:51 left, literally. And the pass, the give is up the middle to the other freshman running back, Andrew Henley.
They're definitely looking to get a score before this night is over. They're fighting hard. I like to see that of a coaching staff. See, sometimes you have to set goals for your team within a game, and their goal here is to get in that end zone.
Well, and likewise, the goal for Heritage is to keep them out, but it doesn't work.
Mission accomplished, Hallandale.
Hallandale gets in, and just look at the excitement from Mr. Andrew Henley. Listed as a wide receiver, but he's definitely got the running back swag, Travis Thomas. The excitement for this young team. This is the JV team that has moved up. It's clear because they're organized, they're ready, and they came out and played tough.
Building blocks. This is what you call a building block for the future. This is something to go into the offseason and you have a positive. As a coach, some nights is just not your night, but you have to always look for something positive, a positive takeaway. And that for them is a positive takeaway. 40-7 to some people might seem like they got washed, but they kept their morale up and they fought hard and they stayed unified as a team. And I like that from a squad moving forward. And they're actually going for 2.
They're going for 2. Julian Holmes passes.
There's a flag on the play.
Pass is incomplete. There's a flag on the play. It's broken up by number 2. We know that's not Pat Sertain Jr. So we don't know who that young man is. But, you know, these guys, Travis Thomas, are playing very, very tough and very physical, even though this game is well out of reach and definitely going to go to Heritage on tonight.
3 points. It looks like that's the game is going to wrap. So we're wrapping it up at 40-6. But Hallandale, if you watch this game, you see that they really played competitively throughout the game. They just got away from for that one quarter. That's I always talk about people playing complete games. And what happened? There's a defensive penalty. So are you going to end this game on a defensive penalty? That's a question. Things aren't supposed to end on a defensive penalty, but I guess at 40-6, they're not going to argue about it. They're going to let it go.
Well, they're going to let it go, and it's a pretty good game.
Listen,
pretty good building block, Travis Thomas.
You take away that second quarter, and we had a pretty good game, like you said. We had a nice game. Just those 12 minutes that got away from Hallandale, and they're going to look back at that in this offseason, and that's going to be a point of emphasis to play a complete game. You cannot afford to have a letdown the way they did. Penalties, poor kicks, a lot of things. The game just got away from them. But I applaud their effort. They played all hard all the way to the end. Good sportsmanship, and the future is bright for Hallandale. And if I'm American Heritage, I'm looking for that state run, and I'm looking to be in that national championship conversation when it's all said and done.
Well, listen, American Heritage Plantation is who we thought they were. They're a nationally rated team, and you saw the dominance on tonight. When you talk about Jason Brown and all of those running backs, you talk about Jordan Johnson, Al C. Abraham, you talk about even Miles Jones, who we didn't see tonight. You talk about Kaleon Herbert. You talk about Tadell Slanton Jr. You talk about all those guys that are on that offense, as well as Dontavius Butler, Lawrence Nelson, Mr. Anthony Schwartz. And, you know, weapon after weapon after weapon. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. Travis Thomas.
And then when you go to the defensive side, you got that anchor, Andrew Chatfield. You got Big Silver on the defensive line. You got that secondary this arguably the best in the nation with Marco Wilson, Patrick Tertain Jr., and the safety, Anthony game. But Carroll City, they have an X factor now. They have Marlon Smith, and he's been a shot in the arm for that team.
We'll talk about Marlon Smith because you coached him. Talk
Yeah.
about the story. This is a guy, and this needs to be said. This is a guy in Marlon Smith, and we're talking about Miami, Carroll City right now. He was in the building. But he was not playing football, Travis Thomas. He wasn't even working out during the summer.
Well,
and they went and got him.
Well, here's the thing. Marlon Smith is a great basketball. He's a natural at basketball. So he played on the JV team last year. He had relative success. But
Are we still up?
yes, I think he was looking to focus on basketball this upcoming season. Hope they had an injury to their starting quarterback. He came in, and it's like he gave a shot in the arm to the team. I watched them play against Miami Central. You can see the way the team and the community has rallied around Marlon Smith.
So it's one of those situations that we work out some technical difficulties here.
But I also have to say this, too. They have Damon Cogdale on staff. He's a state championship winning coach, and he's back freshman stint at the University of West Virginia. He's brought the dark side defense with him to Carroll City. That team is fast. They're physical. They play with attitude. They're playing with purpose. This is going to be a throwback game because for many years, Dade County football on the north side, it was Carroll City and it was Northwestern. So tomorrow, it's going to be a blast from the past. You're going to have Carroll City and Northwestern playing for all the marbles.
Right.
And it's really hard for me to pick a winner right now. So I'm going to do the Travis Thomas pick. Whoever got the most points when the game is will be a winner.
Well, Travis, I mean, you're going to chicken out. I'm not going to chicken out.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick a winner. I think Miami Northwestern is the best team in Dade County this year. I think Kai Henry is the best player in Dade County this year. And it's one of those situations where when you got the best player, the best team, Miami Carroll City is going to have to bring it on tomorrow night. And let me tell you why.
Yeah.
You got I'm hearing reports. I haven't seen Carroll City play this year, but I'm hearing reports.
I saw him play.
I'm hearing reports that they're still playing Marlon Smith and Lorenzo Floyd at they're still going back and forth.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yes, I talked to JT Wilcox earlier today from South Florida High School Sports. He confirmed that to me. I said, "Hey, JT, I haven't seen them playing," and he says, "Yes, there's some series where Floyd comes out." I think in a game like tomorrow, I mean, if I'm the offensive coordinator at Miami Northwestern, or if I'm the defensive coordinator, if I'm Coach Max Edwards, I'm like, hey, take Marlon out as many times as you want. and not only that, if I'm Toro Wallace, I say, hey, look, Marlon, we're rolling with you until the wheels fall off.
Well, here's what I got to say.
And we're not going to play this two-man game. Because, see, here's the thing. There's momentum at stake.
Yeah.
There is momentum at stake. The loser of this game is not doomed, but the loser of this game has a bigger chip on their shoulder when they potentially see each other in the second round.
Listen. Lorenzo Floyd, he brings a different element to the game.
And I hate to single him out.
Than Marlon Smith. Marlon Smith, he's the gunslinger. When he played for us, we called him the heartbreak kid Tom Brady because he stands tall in the pocket. He's always looking to strike downfield. Lorenzo Floyd, he's more of an athlete. So each one of those guys is going to bring a different aspect that your defense is going to have to prepare for. But when it all boils down, Carroll City plays championship football. They have a solid defense. They have a stout running game.
Sure.
So and like I said, Damon Cogdale, he's a championship caliber coach. And he's not now, he doesn't have to shepherd the entire team. He can solely focus on that defensive side. So just to say, even if they are rotating quarterbacks, I wouldn't say that necessarily dooms them.
So you think Carroll City is going to win this football game?
I think the Carroll City.
Who's going to win? I mean, don't try to chicken out.
I'm not
we're cheating our viewers.
Listen,
we had a short game tonight. We had a 46 game.
Listen.
You need to make a decision tonight, Travis Thomas.
Listen.
We're getting back to some of our old hotbed radio days. Now the people can see you.
Now, here's the thing. I mean, I can't make a fair pick because I'm going to have a natural bias because Marlon Smith played for me. So
it's not a bias when you just talk football and just talk who's the better player.
But see, I'm going to always be biased towards a kid that played for me. That's why when I watch.
You're saying if a kid played for you, you're not able to see beyond that. You can't. You can't rationally
I'm going to always be biased to a kid who's bled and sweat and went to battle with me. I'm telling you right now, if you're asking Travis Thomas an opinion on anything football related, if there's a kid that played for me on the opposite team, I can't be without bias. And I got to be honest about that. That's why, as a color commentator.
And that's why I'm glad I never coached, because I talk football. And
Yeah.
listen, Miami Carroll City fans don't like it when you talk against their team, when you say they're not going to win. Miami Northwestern fans don't like it. I've always talked football. As an analyst, I like Northwestern in this football game. I like them in that environment. First of all, it's basically, the game is basically being played almost in Liberty City.
That don't mean nothing.
Yeah, yes,
Hey,
it does.
No, Carroll City fans travel too. It's not like
And
you're
getting off camera here.
But it's
You
not
gotta
like
understand.
Carroll City fans are gonna come out there 50 deep. Carroll City fans, they gonna be in attendance. It's a Saturday night game.
No, they will be, but here's the deal, and they're not gonna outdraw the West. Not at Travis Powell. It's not gonna happen.
We'll see. It could happen. I don't say they might not outdraw.
It's gonna be.
but
Listen,
they could draw equally.
It's gonna be one of those situations where they're gonna be Northwestern fans rather,
Yeah.
spilling into the Carroll City side. Now, Carroll City, when they played Central last year, I was there at the game. I have the infamous video on Deadspin when we had,
Yeah.
the incident.
Yeah.
That was my cell phone video with the referees running off the field. That was Brandon O'Doy on football.
But see, but Brandon, you act like Carroll City don't draw. Carroll City's been a
I'm
draw.
not saying that, but they cannot outdraw the drawer of drawers, which is Miami Northwestern.
Well, let's listen. You want to talk football?
We're talking football.
Let's talk football.
I'm waiting for you to talk some football.
When you're on that football field, it's 11 on 11. It don't matter if it's 150,000 fans in the stands.
It makes a difference.
It's 11. No, it doesn't. It does not make a difference.
If you fumble, if you
Listen.
have a situation, it makes a difference, man.
When you're well coached and you're mentally and physically conditioned, it doesn't matter if there are 150,000 flaming fans in the crowd calling for your head. It's 11 and 11 on the field. These kids are mentally and physically conditioned. The crowd will not be a factor. It's going to be the best team. And I want to go on record as saying, I expect it to be a two-part rivalry, and I expect the winner of tomorrow's game to lose in the playoffs. I think tomorrow's going to be a filling out process, and I think you have two good staffs, and they're going to go back, and they're going to make the proper adjustments. And I think whoever comes out with the victory tomorrow, they're going to have a false sense of security, and to come that second round matchup.
So you like the loser of tomorrow's game to be the person that eventually goes on.
Exactly.
Let's move past this. Do either one of these teams have state championship caliber characteristics?
Both of these teams have state championship characteristics. Let's look at this. Carroll City went to IMG, and they only lost 17-7. They went to Oxbridge and came away with a narrow defeat. Carroll City right now is the hottest team in Dade County for all intents and purposes. And Northwestern, they have great athletes, great tradition. They have a great running game. They have a veteran quarterback, a third-year starter. And both of these teams have the potential to win state. The winner of state will come out of that district. I'm not saying the district
No
champ.
Armwood, no
Listen, when you make it through that meat grinder,
Apopka.
if they make it out of that meat grinder healthy, well, Apopka's 8A.
No, I'd say Armwood,
Or Mainland.
Mainland, Naples.
If they make it out of that meat grinder healthy, they will go on to state.
Even without having done it recently.
If they make it out of that meat grinder healthy, they will be my favorite for state.
Well, you heard it here, and, we don't want John Ross to go away. We're getting ready to conclude. You've been watching footballhotbed.com, the nation's leader, multimedia platform for football all across the country. He's Travis Thomas. I'm Brandon O'Doy. We're going to sign off from Hallandale Beach, Florida, where nationally rated American Heritage Plantation 40-6 over Hallandale. This game will be much closer next year, but getting ready for playoff football. It's been a joy. It's been a great one all season long. Travis Thomas, we tried something new. Thanks for jumping in the pool. We might have one more game next week. Stay tuned to footballhotbed.com. For now, I'm Brandon O'Doy for Travis Thomas and John Ross and Javon Robinson and everybody at Football Hotbed. We're signing off. It's a hotbed world.
Hi, I'm Brandon O'Doy of footballhotbed.com. Do you feel like you're one of the best middle school football players in the United States? Well, we invite you to nominate yourself. Parents, players, and coaches, nominate your middle school athletes for the 2016 Football Hotbed Middle School All-American Game. It will be played January 7th, 2007 at the nationally recognized high school football power, St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. There is no registration cost to participate in this year's game. Nominate yourself at info@footballhotbed.com.